5,000 acres burned. Utah State Forester Jamie Barnes told an appropriations committee today nearly $192 million was spent on fire suppression last year. About $31 million of that came from the state. On average, they normally spend about $15 to $20 million. Barnes said the biggest dollar amounts were spent on the Forsyth, Deer Creek, and Monroe Canyon fires, mostly because they were burning within the wildland-urban interface, so it costs more to protect homes.
When there are high dollar values at risk, our fire managers utilize every resource available to fight that fire. It's important to us, it's dangerous, but it's costly.
Barnes says 60% of Utah's fires were human caused last year, which reiterates the need to continue spending money on their Fire Sense campaign. While the number of human caused fires did go up last year, she said they've seen a 51% decrease in the 5-year average. Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
Visits to some of Utah's national parks and recreation areas went down in 2025. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has a look at the numbers.
Zion National Park remains one of the most visited national parks in the country, with just under 5 million people passing through in 2025. That's according to the Park Service numbers. Both Zion and Arches, they saw a slight increase in visitors. But Canyonlands, Capitol Reef, Bryce Canyon, they all saw small declines. A lot of parks around the country saw their numbers go down, and there's thoughts that the economy and government shutdown could have played a role. But one spot in Utah that saw a huge decline in tourists, that was Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. The Park Service does not say why, but Lake Powell water levels are low, and historically, we get more visitors when the water levels go up. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Grand Canyon National Park is planning to reopen the North Rim this summer. It comes out with some difficulty. The area was damaged during the Dragon Bravo fire last year. If all goes well, Park Service will open the North Kaibab Trail, and all of the Arizona Trail should open in the middle of May. The owner of Tooele Valley Meat has been charged with aggravated animal cruelty. Ed Roberts is accused of cutting off a steer's hoof while it was fully conscious. An investigation from the Tooele County Sheriff's Office says the steer tried to escape the slaughter line and got stuck in a gate. Roberts couldn't get the foot out, so he cut it off. An inspector from the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service was there at the time and said he warned Roberts it was a crime beforehand. KSL's top national stories. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is defending the U.S. operation in Venezuela to capture Nicolas Maduro and seizure of oil tankers. ABC News senior national policy reporter Ann Flaherty has more.
He was questioned for the very first time about the money, about these seized oil tankers. He says that the United States took about $500 million from one sale of oil from Venezuela. $300 million it immediately had to give back to Venezuela so that they could pay their government workers, their sanitation workers, for example, just to keep everything afloat. The other $200 million, he says, is now still sitting in a Qatari account, but he says that's going to be moved to U.S. Treasury and that the U.S. will control the purse strings on all of that.
Rubio was also questioned about the mission that captured Maduro and his wife. Lawmakers on the panel questioned why the administration didn't go through Congress before launching the operation. Senator Rand Paul is challenging the administration's position on promoting a regime change in Venezuela.
We removed someone who was not elected, and it was actually an indicted drug trafficker in the United States, and their system...
Our laws, indicted under our laws. Look, Bolsonaro says that Da Silva is not really the president of Brazil. Our president said Biden wasn't really the president. Hillary Clinton said in 2016 Trump wasn't the president. So you have these arguments, and I agree with you. It probably was, and most likely was, most assuredly was a bad election. He wasn't really elected. But at the same time, if that's our predicate, and you don't have to come to us because it's a drug bust, we're just removing somebody, you can see where it leads to, and it leads to chaos.
Interim President Delcy Rodriguez has freed at least 600 prisoners since Maduro's capture. Other national stories KSL is following. The White House is unveiling Trump accounts. They are government-sponsored accounts that can be opened for children. The White House says the government will deposit $1,000 for every child born between 2025 and 2028, and accounts would be accessible until the child turns 18. Stephen Kay, a financial analyst with Bankrate, outlines the differences between a Trump account and one that's tied to education funding.
If you want to save primarily for higher education expenses, pay for college or graduate school for your children, then a 529 is going to be a superior option. If you're looking to save for their future in a very open-ended way, then these Trump accounts could be a good option because you have a little bit of flexibility as to what they can use that for at 18.
Some companies are pledging to match funds. The accounts are also tied to funds that track the stock market's performance. First Look Traffic. Good afternoon, Tito.
Good afternoon. It looks like we got good speeds this hour on our Valley freeways. A few patches of slowing throughout, but not a bad start to the afternoon drive. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Looking for a secure retirement plan without market risk? Look no further. Lyle Boss, president of Boss Financial, specializes in no market risk retirement strategies with guarantees of principal, guaranteed growth, and lifelong income. Join Lyle right here each Saturday and Sunday for his Safe Money radio show and call him now at 855-355-SAFE for your complimentary customized Safe Money information kit and Safe Money book. Nothing but upside here at 855-355-SAFE.
You know, this is one of those topics that no one really wants to think about, but if you're a parent, a homeowner, married, or helping take care of aging parents, it's something that honestly deserves a little attention. I'm talking about estate planning. And before you tune out thinking it's complicated or expensive, that's actually why I want to mention Trust and Will. Trust and Will makes estate planning feel way less intimidating than it sounds. They offer modern, attorney-designed wills and trusts that you can create online. And the process is surprisingly straightforward. In fact, you can create a will in as little as 30 minutes. That includes things like guardianship for your kids or pets, how your assets are distributed, and even healthcare directives. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones with Trust and Will, the most trusted name in online estate planning. Go to trustandwill.com/plan to get 20% off. That's trustandwill.com/plan for 20% off. trustandwill.com/PLAN.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top story, the state spent almost $192 million last year fighting wildfires. KSL News Time, 12:08. Federal Reserve is holding interest rates steady, making no changes today. Zions Bank senior economist Robert Spendlove joins me now live. And Robert, I can tell you one thing, the markets are starting to turn around now, so hopefully they're going to react favorably to today's news.
Yeah, so markets have been on hold all day waiting for this decision, and not just the decision, but now the markets are really waiting for the press conference that we're going to see at the bottom of the hour where Chairman Powell gets out and explains the Fed's reasoning for leaving these rates unchanged.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were hoping these rates were going to go down. Why do you think they left them unchanged?
Well, and one of those people that really wants them to go down is President Trump. And we actually had two of the Fed governors dissented. Governor Myron and Waller both said they want to go further, but the rest of the Fed, the rest of the Federal Open Market Committee said there's not a good justification for going further right now. Job gains are low, but the unemployment rate is stable. And while inflation is higher than we want it to be, it's not accelerating. And so they're saying there's just not a good justification for dropping rates further at this meeting.
So how much of a difference would it really make if they did drop those rates a bit?
You know, it's not as much what they do at the meeting, it's the direction that they're going in. And so that's what markets are really watching. The Fed has already cut rates many times in the last couple of years. They've cut rates 7 times over the last 2 years, 3 times just last year. And the question is, how much further is the Fed going to go? How much further are they going to drop those rates Right now, markets expect that the Fed might drop it again one or two more times in 2020 or in this year in 2026. But the president wants them to go further. He says that we need to have lower rates. We need to have easier borrowing costs. And so that's really the battle that's happening is within the Fed and between the president and the Fed about whether the Fed should keep going and keep dropping those rates lower.
Okay, you say that the markets are watching to see what actually comes out in this news conference in the next little bit. What exactly are the markets looking for? What are they hoping for?
Markets are looking for that direction because the Fed, at least in the statement, they didn't say when they'll start cutting rates, and they didn't say what would be the trigger for cutting those rates again. So they're going to be paying attention to what Chairman Powell says about what is the time frame for rate cuts starting again, and what are the conditions? Like, do we need a certain unemployment rate? Do we need inflation to be at a certain level before the Fed will start again? And by the way, the big question that I don't know if Jerome Powell will talk about, but everyone's wondering, is what about the next Fed chair? So Jerome Powell's time is up in May, and everyone's wondering who is the president going to nominate to replace Jerome Powell, and will that person be able to push for more rate cuts and get the committee on board as well?
All right, Robert, thanks so much for your time.
It's good to talk to you.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that's Zions Bank senior economist Robert Spendlove, the Federal Reserve in the last few minutes deciding to hold interest rates steady. Let's get you up to date on the drive. Traffic and weather. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. What's happening, Tito?
Got good speeds with little delays on I-15 going both directions throughout the Wasatch Front. We did have some light congestion on northbound I-15 between 33rd South and the I-80-201 junction, but it looks to have cleared up. We also have a service leak. It's on northbound Bangerter Highway at 3500 South, and it looks like the outer right lane is blocked off. Put your energy into the fight song, not fighting for parking. You win when you take UTA to the game. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Tracking a very small storm system that'll brush through northern Utah today, bringing clouds and a slight chance for some snow showers. Temperatures top in the mid-40s. Overnight, 27 degrees. I got a 44 tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies. Friday, keeping it with a mixture of sunshine and clouds, 47. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Okay, it's no doubt we do need a little storm system to come through here. Hopefully we will see some rain this afternoon. Right now in downtown Salt Lake City, it's mostly cloudy and 34 degrees. Coming up on Midday, we'll talk with the Associate Director of the Hinckley Institute about political violence and how it's just evolving as a problem. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
When you're making resolutions for the new year, have you ever thought of making a resolution to get a new metabolism?
So that your body is burning fat more naturally? I used to have a terrible metabolism because I didn't know what to eat or when to eat it until I did SOTA weight loss. I let go of 37 pounds, and now my metabolism works for me.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and it was so nice because once that metabolism changes, the things that affected you more regularly don't affect you anymore. And those are the things that I learned from my nutritionist as I was going along and even afterward. It's so helpful. They taught me how to be successful for life.
You can call and speak to a nutritionist at SOTA Weight Loss today at 866-800-SOTA, S-O-T-A. That's 866-800-SOTA.
Or you can go to sotaweightloss.com and see the hundreds of before and after pictures. And right now is the best time to do it because if you join now, your partner joins for free, so you get 2 transformations for the price of 1.
It's 866-800-SOTA.
Because SOTA is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program and the Shingo Institute at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Ever seen an infection spread? I watched a team on the floor of a factory build a complicated technology. Every time they completed a task, they returned to the team leader, reported, and then got a new assignment with careful instructions on how to complete the next task. I asked why they worked that way. That's the way we've always done it, but it included words like oversight, tradition, evolving. In fact, the process was not evolving. A team of observers using the principles of the Shingo model in an hour of observation showed the team how to eliminate waste. Fewer steps, less cutting, less walking, more working. Production costs went down by 30%. That's all it took. Before long, the entire plant was infected with ideas of continuous improvement. Learn more about continuous improvement in an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com or check out the Shingo model at shingo.org. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
KSL News Time, 12:15. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
$192 million went toward fighting wildfires in Utah last year. Officials said today the state paid 31 of that, which is about $10 million more than they normally spend. I'm KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson.
Second, the Federal Reserve has decided not to change interest rates today, holding them steady. Third, traffic and weather together, Tito.
So far, so good. No delays as you travel on I-15 going both directions between Provo and Ogden. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
A small brush-by system could bring some light snow showers today. I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 34 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Two federal officers involved in the weekend shooting that killed Alex Preddy have been placed on paid administrative leave, according to multiple sources familiar with the situation. The sources tell ABC News it is standard operating procedure when there is an officer-involved shooting. ABC News Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas says it also comes as new details emerge from a DHS report sent to Congress.
Now we have the video. People have had time to look at it, and you see that preliminary DHS report, again, make no mention of Mr. Preddy doing anything in terms of being threatening with the weapon, and it is clear the shots were fired after the gun was off of his body.
Republican Senators Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski are the first Republicans to call on Kristi Noem to step down as DHS Secretary. President Trump continuing to stand by Noem and called the GOP senators, quote, terrible and losers. Senator Tillis responding.
The president called you a loser, I believe.
I am thrilled about that. That makes me qualified to be Homeland Security Secretary and Senior Advisor to the President.
President Trump named border czar Tom Homan to head immigration operations in Minnesota going forward. The Federal Reserve Board wrapped up its two-day monetary policy meeting, the first of the year, and as expected, voted to keep interest rates unchanged for now. The board has been keeping watch on economic gauges, including the lagging labor market, as businesses take on a more slow-to-fire and slow-to-hire mentality. Stephen Kay is a financial analyst with Bankrate and tells ABC News there may only be one rate cut this year.
I think that it's likely we're not going to see any cuts until the second quarter of this year. Whether that's April or June is going to depend on how the next few months go in terms of economic data.
President Trump has been pushing for lower interest rates, and it also comes as the Justice Department launched an investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell over renovations to a Fed building. You're listening to ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. We are seeing more reports of violence and threats directed at lawmakers. It comes after Salt Lake Mayor Erin Mendenhall made a compelling statement at her indicted stalkers hearing, and Congressman Ilhan Omar was sprayed with liquid at a town hall. Associate Director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics, Morgan Lyon-Cotti, joins me now live. Thank you so much for being with me, Morgan.
Happy to speak with you.
So this is pretty concerning for lawmakers. I mean, how much security do these lawmakers need to have to really be out in public?
Yeah, this is a new thing for some of these members of Congress and for some of our local officials. We, of course, know about the Secret Service and the security that's around governors and those higher elected officials. But we're seeing a huge increase in threats to local officials. And in fact, there was a near 70% increase between 2022 and 2024 in some of these local officials. So this is tricky. Sometimes it's not in a city budget. Sometimes, and especially if you're not even elected yet, that might not be in your campaign budget to be worrying about these types of things.
Yeah, this isn't just a concern for those lawmakers. It should be a concern for all of us who want to have access to our lawmakers, right?
It absolutely should be. We love to go to a town hall. We want to have access. We want transparency. But if it's not safe, it's more difficult for these elected officials and for these candidates to do these. And it's even harder for things to run. The last few elections, we've also seen threats for things like poll workers or people who own the companies that run the voting machines or the software. All of these things are under threat, and we should all be concerned about it.
So there have been threats like this in the past. Lawmakers have faced threats on the national level for quite some time. But why such a huge increase locally?
Yeah, that is such a good point. You know, I was talking about this with my father recently, and he was saying he didn't remember any time like this. And I reminded him that he was coming of age in the 1960s when we saw really high-profile assassinations and a lot of political violence. So certainly we've seen times like this, but we definitely are seeing more of a focus on these local officials, and I think there could be a lot of explanations. One is because of social media, it's easier to see who people are, know where they are, and also you're more likely to maybe see a speech or a statement from a local official. We're also seeing this huge increase in partisanship. This is nothing new. We talk about this all the time, right? This increase in polarization. And we're seeing the normalization of political violence. This used to be accepted by maybe extremist groups. And we're seeing through polling data that even average Americans it's just being normalized for them as if it's just part of our system now.
Morgan, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is the Associate Director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics, Morgan Lyon-Cotty. Let's get you up to date now on The Drive. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Tito?
I-15 looks to be in great shape going both north and south in Salt Lake County, and the same can be said for Utah, Davis, and Weber County. I-80 traveling east and westbound with no delays, and the 201 freeway also trouble-free. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast has a little baby storm system today. Temperatures top in the mid-40s. We do have a slight chance for snow showers, mainly between the hours of noon and 4 p.m. 44, partly cloudy skies on your Thursday. Friday, mixture of sunshine and clouds, 47. High pressure builds, and the temperatures bump up. Low 50s on Saturday, mostly sunny. We keep 50s in play. Sunday and Monday with dry skies. Hey, by Tuesday, 48, mostly sunny. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And a little bit of snow before the drive time. The afternoon drive would be a good thing, right? Right now, mostly cloudy, 36 degrees downtown. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Let's get a quick check of the markets. So markets mostly back in negative territory after the Fed announcement. A complete update of your money news is coming up next.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You know, you can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all, it's watery.
Big tax changes this year could mean a bigger refund, and Jackson Hewitt knows how to get you your biggest. You'll get $100 just to try us. That won't make you filthy rich, but definitely gas plus groceries rich. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back, which would make you low-key loaded. Or at least wealthy adjacent? Go with our trusted pros and get $100 to switch. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
KSL News Time 1225. Classic rock fans are being gifted with a remixed version of an epic debut album.
Proving everything old is new again. Aerosmith's 1973 self-titled album is being reissued next month, remixed, remastered, and of course on vinyl, just like the old days. A 4-record set. Co-founders Steven Tyler and Joe Perry have newly mixed the original recordings and tapes alongside producers Zach Cervini and Steve Berkowitz. The epic track, Dream On, wasn't a hit at the time until it was discovered by fans 2 years later. Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
Watching Utah's money, Starbucks reported stronger than expected sales in its fiscal first quarter as holiday drinks and a viral bear cup helped drive sales. Global same-store sales rose 4% for the October-December through December period, and that was higher than the 2.3% that the Wall Street was expecting, now according to analysts that were polled by FactSet. The average interest rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage rate is now at 6.24%. That is up from 6.16%. Americans are willing to sacrifice for a vacation. A new survey from USA Today says 51% of Americans are willing to cut back on spending all year for just one trip. 31% say the cuts have been somewhat significant. 20% say theirs are definitely significant. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow right now down by 7 points, so not a huge change. And the S&P flat as well, down by a couple of points. NASDAQ, however, is up by about 50 points. Harry Styles' Madison Square Garden residency is making history. Ticketmaster says 11.5 million accounts have registered for tickets. That's the most ever recorded for an artist presale. Hollywood Reporter says it's also the highest numbers it's ever seen for a residency-style tour.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Tito Nani.
Our major valley freeways all look to be in great shape so far this hour. However, some minor incidents elsewhere throughout the valley. We have maintenance happening on northbound Bangerter Highway. It's at 3500 South, and it's currently blocking off the outermost right lane. And continuing maintenance going on. It's on State Street near First South. This also has the right lane blocked off. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Calling for mostly cloudy skies today and a slight chance for some snow showers. Temperatures top in the mid-40s. After 5 p.m., that's pretty much out of here. 27 overnight, partly cloudy. We'll keep it partly cloudy for your Thursday, 44 the high. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, mostly cloudy, 36 degrees downtown in Ogden. It's 40 degrees. St. George, 49.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time 1230. KSL's top story this hour. And it is breaking news. The Department of Homeland Security has confirmed that 2 federal agents accused of shooting and killing Alex Preddy have been placed on leave. A preliminary report from the department also confirmed that those 2 officers fired their weapons, but not that Preddy was brandishing a gun. A new Ring doorbell partnership is raising concerns about surveillance and how federal agencies like ICE could use it. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is live to explain. Eric?
Maria, Ring's new partnership with a surveillance company called Flock could make it easier for law enforcement, including federal agencies, to access doorbell footage from homeowners. Flock is best known for license plate reader technology already used by police nationwide. Chad Marlowe, Senior Policy Counsel with the ACLU, says the concern is that 2 powerful surveillance companies are now linking their systems, often without consumers realizing what that connection means.
You go from what appears to be just individual surveillance companies into a giant mass surveillance apparatus for sale for anyone who has the money to buy it.
Marlowe says many people buy Ring cameras simply to see who's at their front door without realizing the product is designed to share data beyond their home. His advice, if you only want a camera for personal security, consider options that store video locally and aren't built to share information. Live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Salt Lake City Mayor Erin Mendenhall spent time talking about immigration as part of her State of the City address. The mayor says there is no place in the city for an ICE detention facility, and she called out the tactics used by federal immigration officials.
These tactics are not making communities safer. They're creating chaos. They are eroding trust in law enforcement. They're resulting in the death of Americans exercising their constitutional rights, and they have no place in the America that I call home.
She says she is prepared to use all the tools in her reach to protect the values of Salt Lake City. Video of Charlie Kirk's assassination may not be played at the accused shooter's future hearings. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
The defense says showing the video of the moment Kirk was shot and killed could result in an unfair trial for the suspected killer, Tyler Robinson. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas says these kinds of requests are fairly common.
And in this case, the defense is saying that the video is so graphic and so troublesome that it might prejudice the jury. It might make them too upset to hear the rest of the case. And frankly, I think the defense is arguing that it's not relevant.
Skordas says the video doesn't show anything that isn't already known, and the injuries would be explained by a medical examiner. He says these kind of requests from the defense are common for a judge to grant to preserve the jury. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Prosecutors have filed murder charges against a car burglary suspect accused of shooting a man that confronted him in Roy. New charging documents say 21-year-old Taylor Gardner shot 58-year-old Kenneth Keller, and Keller confronted and tackled him on Westlake Drive on Sunday. Keller died at the hospital. Police say Gardner later told them he was on probation, and he and his friend were breaking into cars to find things to pay off their court fines. KSL's top national stories. Republican Senators Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski are the first Republicans to call on Kristi Noem to step down as DHS Secretary. But President Trump is sticking to his guns, defending Noem. ABC's White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest.
President Trump said Tuesday that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was doing a very good job and she wasn't going to step down. But 2 Republican senators, Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski, have now called for Noem to do just that. Murkowski saying she's lost confidence in Noem, and Tillis saying she's taking the administration, quote, into the ground on an issue it should own. President Trump attacked both senators, telling ABC they're, quote, losers and terrible. Asked to respond to that, Tillis said,
I am thrilled about that. That makes me qualified to be Homeland Security Secretary and Senior Advisor to the President.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Other national stories KSL is following. Investigators say they believe the liquid sprayed onto Minnesota Congressman Ilhan Omar was apple cider vinegar. The man has been charged with assault. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy reports.
The incident in Minneapolis happened just as Capitol Police were set to report new data on threats against members of Congress. The department says it investigated nearly 15,000 statements, behaviors, and communications directed at lawmakers, their families, staff, and the Capitol complex. It marks a nearly 58% increase from the prior year.
Representative Omar will reportedly speak later tonight at a news conference. First look traffic. What's going on, Tito?
Still seeing great speeds without any delays throughout the Wasatch Front on all of our major valley freeways. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:34.
Are you looking to upgrade your home this year?
Advanced Window Products is your local window and door manufacturer that sells direct to the public.
That's right, celebrating 40 years serving Utah since 1986. And right now, it's the New Year, New Window sale. Get $2,500 off when you buy 10 windows or more.
Our windows are made right here in Salt Lake City. Sales and installation are all in-house, meaning no middleman markups. You get the most affordable, high-quality custom windows in the state.
We build it, we install it, and we guarantee it for life.
Every window comes with a lifetime warranty, labor, glass, and parts included, serviced by our local team, and the warranty is transferable to the next homeowner.
Financing is available too. Save now, pay later, with payments as low as $150 a month.
Buy local and support the local economy. Don't wait. Buy 10 windows or more and get $2,500 off. Beat the rush and call today.
Call us at 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit us at advancedwindows.com.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you could tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL, News Radio 1027.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top story, Ring is teaming up with a new company, Flock, and it's now leading to security concerns. KSL News Time, 1236. A Utah lawmaker wants to nearly triple Utah's minimum wage and require companies to be transparent about pay in job listings. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
State Senator Nate Bluen is running a bill that, if passed, would raise Utah's minimum wage from $7.25 to $20 an hour.
It's absolutely ridiculous that we see so many people continuing to struggle. And this is one piece of, I think, a bigger set of reforms that are needed to boost our quality of life.
Bluen's bill would also require the minimum wage to rise with inflation at least once a year, and it would require companies to clearly post the compensation offered in their job postings.
I think that is something that we should be requiring so that we don't have people basically in a race to the bottom, doing services for less than they should be.
Bluen tells me he's willing to work with and even make exceptions for smaller businesses that might struggle to pay employees so much more all at once. He also said he's willing to work with lawmakers on the other side of the aisle, but he doesn't have high hopes the bill will get enough support from Republicans to pass. A spokesperson for the House GOP majority told me they have no comment on Bluen's proposal. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Elementary school kids will get the opportunity tomorrow to learn about both STEM and the legislature on Utah's Capitol Hill. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson has more.
Director of STEM Action Center Tammy Getz says it's because of legislation that they were able to get started.
If you turn the clock back to 2013, when the STEM Action Center was created by the legislature, we have done a lot in that decade plus a few years' time to promote and support the expansion and capacity of STEM resources across the entire state.
In that time, Utah has become a force in the STEM industry.
Utah has been identified as one of the 8th largest STEM job markets in the country.
Getz says it's important for the upcoming generation to learn about how the industry collaborates with community leaders because it's projected to grow by 10% here in Utah in the next decade. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
The Utah legislature is celebrating 100 years of Utah PTA advocacy, saying the Parent Teachers Association has volunteered countless hours to bettering education. A Senate concurrent resolution honoring the association says it's been extremely successful in advocating for full-day kindergarten, supporting healthy lunch programs, championing safer school environments, promoting child labor laws, and promoting arts and supporting teachers. Traffic and weather together, it's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Here's Tito Nani.
Still no issues to report on all of our major valley freeways. Looking trouble-free at the moment. A minor trouble spot elsewhere. It's on northbound Bangerter Highway at 3500 South in West Valley. A maintenance issue has the right lane blocked off. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, I'm forecasting a slight chance for some SNOW. Yes, a slight chance for some light snow showers. Temperatures will top in the mid-40s, not looking at much in the way of accumulation. 44 degrees, partly cloudy skies on Thursday. Friday is dry as well. 47, we're back to the 50s for your weekend. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Well, the computer tells me that we are seeing a few snow flurries in the downtown area. However, here at the Triad Center, I'm not seeing any flakes falling just yet. 36 degrees downtown. Coming up on Midday, we'll talk to the director of the Emerging Tech Policy Lab at UVU, Brandon Amaker, about apps that create explicit images and how they get into the app stores. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Valentine's Day is a moment to pause and celebrate the love that fills your life. Duke's Jewelers in Springville believes every love story deserves something timeless, something chosen with intention and given from the heart. This Valentine's season, explore pieces that speak without a single word. Dazzling diamonds that catch the light, rich gold that feels classic and enduring, and colorful gemstones that tell a story all their own. Whether you're marking a first Valentine's together, honoring decades of devotion, or simply wanting to make someone feel cherished, Duke's Jewelers is here to help you find the perfect piece. Duke's Jewelers will guide you with care, offer thoughtful suggestions, and even wrap your gift beautifully so you can enjoy the moment, not stress over it. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Springville Main Street and discover a gift that will be treasured long after February 14th is passed. Because love is worth celebrating in the most meaningful way. Duke's Jewelers. Love elevated. If you're tired of hot, uncomfortable dress shirts that just don't hold up, sweat stains, stuffy collars, short tails, sound familiar? Meet your new favorite dress shirts from Serve Clothing. The game-changing design features a mesh collar shield that stops sweat stains from ruining your look. Plus, built-in vents keep you comfortable under suits and jackets, no matter the season. You'll love the extra length that stays tucked in, and the antimicrobial odor-fighting fabric that keeps you fresh all day. Forget about replacing your dress shirts every 6 months. With Serve Clothing's unbeatable 2-year guarantee, you know your shirt is built to last through the toughest work days in any climate. And giving back is a priority. Last year, Serve Clothing helped to outfit more than 750 missionaries and others in need using a portion of your orders. Don't wait. Serve shirts sold out 4 times last year. Visit serveclothing.com right now to get yours before they're gone. Serve Clothing. Dress shirts that actually serve you. Serveclothing.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know you can't cook. You're not one of those people who say that they can, but when people come over for dinner, they find out the hard way, you can't. You can't even microwave popcorn, and that's literally just one button. Plus, measuring and patience are huge parts of cooking, and that's just not you. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pricing coverage match limited by state law.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store and online. And now, the more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free home delivery on most beds with base. Limited time. For JD Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Check it out at a Sleep Number store today.
How does a soccer club, born in an unlikely place,
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
built with players no one else wanted,
We knew no one believed in us.
reach the league's highest heights?
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival?
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments.
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
And unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL News Time 1245, the 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
a Utah lawmaker wants to nearly triple Utah's minimum wage and require companies to be transparent about pay and their job listings. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, the 2 federal agents accused of shooting and killing Alex Preddy have been placed on leave. Third, traffic and weather together, Tito.
Great speeds with no delays throughout the Wasatch Front. No issues to report on I-15, 215, and I-80. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've got a slight chance for some light snow showers today. Then it dries out. I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 36 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. After three straight rate cuts, the Federal Reserve Board voting to leave interest rates unchanged for now due to economic uncertainty. Here's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
No move in interest rates today from the Federal Reserve. This was widely expected by Wall Street. The Fed choosing instead to be in wait-and-see mode today versus any move on interest rates. In the statement that I'm reading just here out by the Fed, they say they're going to continue to take into account a range of information on the economy, looking, of course, at both the jobs market and inflation.
In Georgia, the FBI confirmed there is court-authorized activity at the Fulton County Election Hub and Operations Center. It is unclear what the FBI is looking for, but comes as President Trump has repeatedly claimed there was voter fraud in the 2020 presidential election, specifically in Georgia. 2 federal officers involved in Saturday's shooting of Alex Preddy have been placed on paid administrative leave, according to multiple sources familiar with the situation. The sources stress this is standard operating procedure. This is ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. The new report shows that the Apple and Google Play stores have dozens of apps that use AI to generate explicit images of people. X's AI bot Grok has recently received some major backlash for this very same thing. Brandon Amaker, director of the Emerging Tech Policy Lab at UVU, joining me now live. Brandon, thanks for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
So describe for us how the apps like this kind of fall through the cracks.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the way the AI works is not typical of a regular computer program. It's not as linear as, hey, I can put in a line of logic in here that says under no circumstances can you undress somebody. So the problem is, even with some of these larger apps, they will have guidelines on them, but if you finagle the way you prompt it enough, it'll get through. And then the other thing is that other apps which are less regulated, maybe some of these smaller applications, they just don't have as much oversight because maybe they don't have a ton of users. And yeah, it does serve a legitimate alternate purpose, but it also comes with the side effect that it has very loose guidelines which allow for creation of explicit content.
So how challenging is it then to kind of get a grip on this problem?
I think it's very challenging. It's easier to go after the big platforms because obviously they have the bigger user base. There's more of an entity that you can actually talk to. But the problem is with a lot of these smaller apps, it's kind of whack-a-mole. As soon as you knock one down, another one's going to pop up. A lot of them are based overseas. I think a good majority of the ones which were, or at least a plurality of the ones which were taken down recently were based out of China. And so then the international law enforcement and regulatory aspect of it makes the environment even more complicated to deal with.
So what do you think needs to be done in the future to maybe get a grip on this?
I think policy is always going to lag behind technology. The capability is going to come out first, and then people are going to realize the problems that come with it. But I think for policymakers to lean forward and have a little bit of a proactive approach to trying to criminalize some of these actions, getting ahead of that type of thing, and then also ensuring that there's proper enforcement mechanisms for it. But at the end of the day, the sad part is it's kind of just the world that we're entering into, that this is going to be something that's going to happen. It's unfortunate. I don't think we're ever going to be able to get it 100% under control.
Okay, so that kind of puts it in the hands of parents then to kind of watch these things with their kids.
Absolutely. I think we're going to have to be a lot more cognizant of how we use social media, how we let our kids use social media, and being very cognizant of what we post, especially to, a completely public Facebook or Instagram profile, because now those images, that likeness can be abused in ways it never has been before.
Brandon, appreciate your help. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you.
Brandon Almacher is the director of the Emerging Tech Policy Lab at UVU. Let's get you up to date on the drive, traffic, and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. And here's Tito Nani.
Our Valley Freeway is all in great shape this afternoon. No slowdowns to report in all of our major counties. If you have a minor trouble spot elsewhere, it's downtown and happening on southbound State Street, just past First South. Maintenance looks to have the outer right lane blocked off. Supercharge your savings with UCCU's high-yield savings certificates. The more you deposit, the more you earn. Visit uccu.com. Select a high-yield savings option and earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. It has been 19 days since we've seen any measurable precip. Today we have a chance. 44 the high with a slight chance for light snow showers between noon and 4 p.m. Partly cloudy, dry skies, 44 on Thursday. Friday, 47. Dry through the weekend, but highs in the 50s Saturday, Sunday. We keep it in the 50s Monday. Tuesday, 48, mostly sunny. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 36 degrees downtown. Still not seeing any snow showers. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Quick check of the markets. They have now turned into positive territory after the Fed released its decision saying they're going to leave interest rates alone for now.
Sometimes when our furnace stops working, it's something simple we can fix ourselves, if we only knew how. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the next time your furnace stops working, before you call a company out to fix it, try this first. Go shut the furnace down and make sure your air filter is clean. Go around the house and make sure the vents are open and there's nothing blocking the return air. If it's been a while since you've changed the batteries in your thermostat, go ahead and do that too. Then go turn the furnace back on, and if it stays on, you're probably good. If it stops working again, you're probably going to want a technician to check it out. If you don't know one, Any Hour Services has a special offer for any homeowners listening. One of our HVAC technicians will diagnose and troubleshoot your furnace for only $29. Then they'll explain what they found and present you with repair options. And don't worry, our technicians service all brands. Call Any Hour Services and let them know you heard about this $29 troubleshooting special on the radio. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Did you know bad bacteria causes cavities and tooth decay? Did you know bad bacteria feed off residue left by sugary foods and drinks? Keep your family healthy. Your smile matters.
Be sure to brush 2 times daily for at least 2 minutes with fluoride toothpaste.
Floss once a day and limit sugary foods and drinks like sweetened juices, candies, and sodas.
Even sugar-free carbonated drinks can be harmful to teeth. Be sure to visit your dentist for regular checkups and cleanings. If you don't have a dentist, visit yoursmileutah.org for more information on community dental services. This message is brought to you by Utah Oral Health Coalition, Utah Dental Association, University of Utah School of Dentistry, the Utah Department of Health and Human Services, and other Utah health partners. Remember, a healthy smile means a healthier life. Learn more at yoursmileutah.org.
Because your smile matters.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
KSL News Time 12:54. Preparations are ramping up in Santa Clara, California for the Super Bowl.
Nick Pappas is the NFL's field director. He's walking the freshly laid grass at Levi's Stadium. A whole new field has been put down, so it's fresh and perfect looking for the Super Bowl.
The new field was brought in. Takes about 2 days to install the field. And then from there, we start all of our typical maintenance practices, mowing, aerating, fertilizing.
He says next week, entertainers will come in to practice a halftime show. On game day, he says his focus is simple, watching how the players' feet interact with the field. Alex Stone, EBC News.
Watching Utah's money, Americans aren't feeling too good about the economy. Consumer confidence is at its lowest level since 2014, even worse than it was during the pandemic. It's getting expensive to heat your home. Fox Business reports heating prices are expected to be 9.2% more expensive this year. The average household is estimated to spend $995 on heating this winter. Americans are expected to spend $29.1 billion on Valentine's Day. The National Retail Federation says the majority of that will be spent on candy and flowers. Outside of significant others and family members, the most money will be spent on getting gifts for friends. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow just down by 1 point, S&P 500 up by a fraction, the NASDAQ right now the big winner up by 80 points. Get your wallets ready. Mattel and Hasbro are giving fans a glimpse of a new K-pop Demon Hunters toy or toys. This toy includes quite a few dolls, including American Girl dolls designed to look like Huntrix, as well as smaller Barbie-like dolls, action figures and some special Uno cards, Furbies, and Nerf knives modeled after the girls' demon-fighting weapons.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio. Hi, it's Tori DeVito.
In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. What's going on, Tito?
A perfect beginning to our afternoon drive. I-15 going both directions has no delays between Ogden and Provo, and I-80 and I-215 look to be rolling right along as well. Elevate your dining at the Roof, now serving lunch and dinner. Enjoy new ambiance, city views, and cozy favorites. Funeral potato bites, scones, and signature steak, pork, or salmon entrees. Visit theroofslc.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
And taking a look at the forecast for the Wasatch Front, today our major chance for some snow showers, a 30% chance of some afternoon snow flurries. I've been waiting here downtown, still haven't seen those. A high of 44, up to 52 for Saturday, 53 on Sunday. Right now, 36 degrees, mostly cloudy in downtown Salt Lake City.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The greatest snow on Earth, often attributed in part to the Great Salt Lake. But declining water levels and an abysmal snow season so far this winter, prompting renewed concerns about the lake's future. Now, a rare move from the state to buy parts of U.S. magnesium, including their water rights, could pave a way for a brighter future.
And when you look at the Great Salt Lake, it needs water above and beyond anything else to restore, to save, to fill Great Salt Lake. We need water. And this is water that was already in the lake.
The time is 1 o'clock on Wednesday, January 28th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, saving the Great Salt Lake, we'll go in depth on why state leaders say this public purchase could make a real difference. Also this hour.
I don't question our Lieutenant Governor. I think she's done a great job, and I think she did a great job.
Ahead of a hearing today on a massive elections bill, Senator Mike McKell is defending parts of the bill that would directly affect Utah's top elections official. Eye on the Hill will go in depth on this 150-plus page bill coming up at 1:30. KSL's top local stories. Breaking news. A man training to be a South Salt Lake officer has been arrested, accused of driving under the influence while on duty. According to arrest documents, Michael Hatch was turned in by a supervisor who said a training officer could smell alcohol on Hatch's breath during his patrol shift. Police say tests showed Hatch's blood alcohol level was at 0.75. The investigating officer noted that Hatch was working as an officer at the time and was armed with a handgun. A Utah lawmaker wants to make big changes to the state's minimum wage and what companies are required to put in their job listings. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
State Senator Nate Bluen is sponsoring a bill that would nearly triple Utah's minimum wage from $7.25 to $20 an hour.
This is a number that is actually livable, that people can, use to pay for a mortgage, pay for childcare, pay to put food on the table, where right now they are seriously struggling to get by.
Bluen's bill would also require the minimum wage to go up at least once a year to keep up with inflation, and it would bar companies from posting job listings without any information about the compensation for that job. I also asked Senator Bluen about the impact a wage hike like this could have on small businesses.
I think this is where negotiation would come in, and being willing to work on something that works for more of these employers, and I'd be happy to have those conversations with smaller businesses.
Bluen also says he's willing to work with Republicans on this as well, but he doesn't think enough of them will bite at any of these ideas for them to become law. A spokesperson for the House GOP majority told me they have no comment on Bluen's proposal. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News. The Federal Reserve has left interest rates where they are. It's the first Fed meeting of the new year, and it comes amid continued pressure from President Trump for the Fed to cut rates and continued criticism of Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
No move in interest rates today from the Federal Reserve. This was widely expected by Wall Street. The Fed choosing instead to be in wait-and-see mode today versus any move on interest rates. In the statement that I'm reading just here out by the Fed, they say they're going to continue to take into account a range of information on the economy, looking, of course, at both the jobs market and inflation.
That is ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reporting. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 1 point, sitting at 49,002. S&P up by just a fraction, and the NASDAQ, it's up by 70 points. Traffic and weather together, it's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharger savings at uccu.com. And here's Tito Nani.
No issues to report on all of our major Valley freeways. Expect to be on your way with no delays as you make your way throughout the Wasatch Front. A minor trouble spot elsewhere, it's on northbound Bangerter Highway at 3500 South in West Valley. A maintenance issue has the right lane blocked off. Elevate your dining at the Roof, now serving lunch and dinner. Enjoy new ambiance, city views, and favorites. Bacon, fig, flatbread, steak, pork, or salmon entrees. Reservations or menu visit theroofslc.com. To Yonani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Keeping our fingers crossed for some wet weather. The updated forecast has a 30% chance of afternoon snow showers. That's before 4 o'clock this afternoon. Haven't seen any downtown just yet. A high of 44 degrees. Then staying in the 40s until Saturday when the high gets up into the 50s. Right now, 35 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
When you're making resolutions for the new year, have you ever thought of making a resolution to get a new metabolism?
So that your body is burning fat more naturally. I used to have a terrible metabolism because I didn't know what to eat or when to eat it until I did soda weight loss. I let go of 37 pounds, and now my metabolism works for me.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and it was so nice because once that metabolism changes, the things that affected you more regularly don't affect you anymore. And those are the things that I learned from my nutritionist as I was going along and even afterward. It's so helpful. They taught me how to be successful for life.
You can call and speak to a nutritionist at Soda Weight Loss today at 866-800-SODA, S-O-T-A. That's 866-800-SODA.
Or you can go to sodaweightloss.com and see the hundreds of before and after pictures. And right now is the best time to do it because if you join now, your partner joins for free, so you get 2 transformations for the price of 1.
It's 866-800-SODA.
Because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Over the past few decades, scientists and climatologists have partially attributed Utah's light, fluffy snow to the Great Salt Lake. The greatest snow on Earth linked to the greatest salt lake in North America. But as the lake levels have fallen to drastically low levels, and as snow this year has more or less failed to fall, more and more people are looking to the problems associated with declining water levels. Now, in what's being called a rather rare move, the state of Utah is stepping in to buy one of the state's biggest polluters, who has historically used a lot of water from the lake. The state is spending $30 million to purchase assets of U.S. Magnesium, a company that sits on the shores of the lake. The action aimed at helping the lake return to more healthy levels. Executive Director of the Utah Department of Natural Resources, Joel Ferry, joined me to explain why the state got involved.
U.S. Magnesium went into bankruptcy back into September, and through that bankruptcy process, there's certain interests that the state has. This is a lot of the operation was occurring on state lands. They were using water out of the Great Salt Lake. So we stayed actively engaged and involved in that bankruptcy process. And when it became apparent to us, as we looked at some of the filings and some of the statements that were made, that there just wasn't really, in our opinion, a very viable plan forward to try to address some of the environmental concerns. This is a Superfund site, so it's heavily contaminated. It's got some real serious issues. They're also consuming enormous amounts of water coming from Great Salt Lake. It became apparent to us that it's in the state's best interest if we can do something to protect those interests and try to acquire some of those assets and correct, look at the future of that site. That the state should have an interest to try to acquire those. So we made a bid on those assets, and we ended up being selected as the winning bid. The judge decided that yesterday. And so we're acquiring a lot of those assets and a lot of that operational capacity for $30 million. And so we're just looking at as the dust settles on this, what is everything that we're taking on and trying to make sure that we're doing what's in the best interest of the people of Utah.
So when you say assets, does that mean complete purchase of the company and the property, or kind of what's left behind?
So it's the company is bankrupt, so it's dissolved. It's defunct. And so what we're talking about is those. Really, what we're talking about is certain assets that we bid on are they're enumerated in the court order, but it's the water, the land, the mineral lease agreement, and there's some other assets, physical assets property assets that exist there that we will, over the next little while after this settles, we'll determine how to best utilize those and what to do with those.
Okay. Talk for a minute about the water. You said that U.S. Magnesium was using an extreme amount of water. How do you hope that this is going to help the Great Salt Lake? I mean, what can be done here?
Well, so mineral production is really important, and magnesium in particular. And it's kind of unfortunate, just the markets, magnesium markets, like a lot of other critical and rare earth minerals, have been under a lot of stress. You have pressures from foreign countries, dumping in other, they just operate in a different way. And so they hadn't produced magnesium since 2021, so it's been 5 years. But there was a lot of water consumption. They were producing salts, road salts, and other things. And that takes a lot of water to do that. And so when we look at this, we say, okay, the water right is just over 144,000 acre feet that is included in this. That is almost the size of Deer Creek Reservoir. It's an enormous amount of water. And when you look at the Great Salt Lake, it needs water above and beyond anything else to restore, to save, to fill Great Salt Lake. We need water. And this is water that was already in the lake. And the company's use of that water it fluctuated from 50 to 120 plus thousand acre feet, depending on the year and what their demand curve looked like on what they were producing. And so what we're talking about is this water will now stay in the Great Salt Lake, and we're going to look for opportunities. We can still produce minerals, but do it in a much more efficient way. There's a lot of new technologies that this direct extraction type technologies that can do these things without having to just evaporate off tens of thousands of acre feet of water. And so this goes a long way in our goal of delivering and keeping water in Great Salt Lake to help restore it to healthy lake levels.
Okay, I'm not sure how close U.S. Magnesium is to the Great Salt Lake, but talk to me for a minute about how you're going to address the Superfund site and how that needs to be improved to really improve the health of the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah, so a couple of things. U.S. Magnesium, the site itself sits on the shores of Great Salt Lake. It's in Tooele County, just south of I-80 in a place called Raleigh. And it's a large site. It's there's about 4,500 acres of private land, but there's over 100,000 acres of leased state land that are the Great Salt Lake, the shores of Great Salt Lake. So it's right on the lake itself. And so what we're doing as far as this Superfund site, we're working diligently because a lot of the impacted area is state lands, and so there is already and there will continue to be an obligation from the state of Utah. But we're working closely with the Department of Environmental Quality and the EPA to come up with a plan on how do we start to address the cleanup of this site. We want to make sure that some of the prior actions we address, we stop any sort of leaking into the lake, and ultimately get this to reclaim that site to not have those long-term detrimental impacts to the lake and to the environment out there. This is again not just for the water volume to the lake, but the quality of water and to the the air quality in the air. I mean, it has an impact on all of those, and we're like I said, we're working closely with other state agencies and the federal government to address the cleanup and to really fix this problem that exists out there.
And then I have to ask you, how unusual is it for the state to step in this kind of case and actually step in and spend millions of dollars to purchase a bankrupt company?
Right. It is unusual. In this case, as we worked with the governor's office and with the legislature to address this situation, it became apparent that the state has a long-term vested interest in this, not just because it's located on the lake and a lot of it's on state lands, but also because the people of Utah are really concerned about the Great Salt Lake and its impact to their lives. We've seen declining lake levels, and we've seen, really warming temperatures. And, like this year, our snowpack is abysmal. And we need to be doing everything we can to try to help save Great Salt Lake. And this is a huge step in that direction. And so, yes, it is unusual, but at the same time, we've seen significant investment from the state in water conservation, in water acquisition for the lake. And this is another one of those really important steps that we felt we should take and can take to make a difference on the lake. And this is something, the leadership from the governor and from, folks in the executive branch, but also from the legislature has been extraordinary. And it is bearing fruit to help us as we recover Great Salt Lake.
Joel Ferris is the Executive Director of the Utah Department of Natural Resources. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Video of Charlie Kirk's assassination may not be played at the accused shooter's future hearings. The defense attorneys for Tyler Robinson, the man charged with killing the conservative activist, says showing the video of the moment Kirk was shot may result in an unfair trial for Robinson. Let's go more in depth on this with KSL legal analyst and co-host of Inside Sources, Greg Skorda. So that seems a little odd. All of us have seen that video.
That's true, and it's not uncommon in a case like this, Maria, when you have a homicide or a gruesome crime, for the defense to say the jury doesn't need to see the gruesome part of it. They don't need to see things that could be offensive to them. And maybe they have seen it. Maybe it's come out of the bag already. But when we go to trial, we want the jury to focus on the facts of the case and not something that could perhaps anger them or get them in a position where they're more upset than they should be. So and you also have to think about what relevance it has. And I know that might sound a little bit silly because obviously it's relevant to what happened. But the defense will agree that Charlie Kirk was shot. They will agree that he died as a result of a gunshot wound. They will agree that he was shot in the neck. And so at that point, what benefit does the video add if, in fact, those facts are already established? So the jury doesn't have to decide those facts by watching a video.
Mm-hmm. So how key is that to the evidence that the prosecution has then?
Probably not at all, and that's another thing. The judge might say to the prosecution, do you really need this to prove your case? And they might say, well, it's part of the case, and so we want to put it in. But there's always a weighing, and it is usual that this happens. It happens all the time in homicide cases that we don't necessarily have to show the jury the autopsy photos, for example, or the photos of the deceased lying on the ground with blood or something like that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't add to the facts of the case, and it can inflame a jury. And keep in mind in this case that it's a capital case, which means the jury not only decides guilt, but they decide punishment. And the defense is saying where the jury is also going to decide punishment, they might be more harsh in that determination after they watch this video. I know it's part of the evidence. I know it's part of the case, but it's not necessarily relevant to show whether or not Charlie Kirk was murdered by Tyler Robinson.
Charlie Kirk's widow has said that she wants all of this information public. Is that often taken into account what the family wants to happen in a case like this?
It is.
Family.
Yeah, that's a good question. There is what's called a victim's bill of rights, so we do honor what victims want. But an accused under the Constitution has constitutional bill of rights, constitutional rights that are more persuasive, more powerful than a victim's. But yeah, her wishes will be honored. But the court also has to preserve the jury. It has to make sure that the jury hears the case and that it's not tainted by information that came out to the public. Maybe the public can see it after the trial. Maybe all this stuff can be released at some point. But let's let the jury hear the case and decide the case based on the evidence that they hear legally brought into a court by a judge and proposed by a prosecutor.
Yeah, and I'm sure that his family would like that as well, the victim's family.
Sure, right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Greg. That is Greg Skordas. He is a KSL's legal analyst and the co-host of Inside Sources, heard every morning here on KSL. After the break, 2 Border Patrol officers accused of shooting and killing an ICU nurse in Minneapolis are now on paid administrative leave. Details on those developments coming up next. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Tito?
We do have a new accident. It's in Wasatch County, going both directions on Main Street at 5th South in Heber. The outermost left lanes are blocked, heading both northbound and southbound. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
For most of us, the struggle to keep weight off, the struggle to lose weight is very real, and it has been for me my entire life. I've been telling you for the last couple of years how Salt Lake City Fat Loss helped me lose more than 40 pounds. It's made a great difference in my life, and when the pounds start to creep back up, I know exactly what to do. How to take those pounds right back off. This is an all-natural program. It helps you drop the weight fast. In the first week, I lost more than 8 pounds, which made it very easy for me to stick with. Plus, since it's all natural, there are no side effects. Right now, though, it's a perfect time to start because they are still honoring their 20% off sale. Their huge New Year's sale is still in place, but it's only for a limited time. So whether you want to look better, boost your energy, feel better, Salt Lake City Fat Loss works. Make sure you lock in this savings now at slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com. Don't miss out, slcfatloss.com.
This year's tax changes. Better not get caught snoozing. Miss one deduction, lose thousands. Not amusing.
Big tax changes can mean bigger refunds at Jackson Hewitt. And right now, get $100 just to try us.
Don't worry, tax filers. If money is tight, get $100 from Jackson Hewitt, so you'll sleep better at night.
Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
My friend Joey loves to use old familiar sayings.
You know what they say.
The problem is,
don't look at a gift horse, cause you can't make them drink.
He gets a lot of them mixed up.
People who live in glass houses,
here it comes,
shouldn't cry over spilt milk.
There are also a lot of sayings in the financial world, like, you'll pay lower taxes in retirement. But for many people, it's just not true. You may have done a great job saving in that 401k or IRA, but Uncle Sam is ready to grab a big portion of that money. The team at Galileo Wealth Management can help with strategies that you can start now to lower your tax bill in the future. More for you and less for Uncle Sam.
Or as they say, an apple a day is worth 2 in the bush.
Get the facts on your tax bill in retirement. Call Galileo Wealth today at 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online at GalileoWealth.com.
And remember, a stitch in time keeps the doctor away. Does, you know.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Two federal officers involved in Saturday's shooting of ICU nurse Alex Preddy in Minneapolis now placed on paid administrative leave. It comes as the Department of Homeland Security faces bipartisan scrutiny. ABC's Matt Rivers discusses the official DHS account of this incident.
Just starting with this DHS report. It's a preliminary review of their findings so far, in part based on body camera footage that we know was recovered after this shooting happened. Remember what DHS said when they first came out, what Kristi Noem said, what Greg Bravino said, the commander-at-large of the Border Patrol here. They said that Alex Preddy walked toward them, brandishing a weapon, basically presenting a threat that he was going to massacre law enforcement agents.
This individual went and impeded their law enforcement operations, attacked those officers, had a weapon on him, and dozens of rounds of ammunition, wishing to inflict harm on these officers, brandishing like that.
Every piece of video evidence that we have seen since then, everything we've seen with our own eyes, would tell us that that is not the case. And now it does appear that DHS, at least by this body camera footage, is sort of even backing that up, despite what they said earlier on. So within this report, a couple things about what it says and what it doesn't say. What it does say is that there were 2 firearms from federal agents that were discharged during this incident.
Do not push them into the traffic.
The timeline is noting that while agents attempted to take Preddy into custody, there was a struggle, as we've all seen. And that, quote, a Border Patrol agent yelled, "He's got a gun," multiple times. Now, you can also make that out on some of the videos that we've seen. According to these same findings, approximately 5 seconds later, a Border Patrol agent discharged his Glock 19, and a Customs and Border Patrol agent fired a Glock 47 at Preddy. So that's the first time they've said 2 different guns were discharged during this incident. Now, what it doesn't say in this report is also important. At no point in the report, Brad, does DHS say that Preddy attempted to reach for his weapon, because remember that's what they said initially. Well, they now say that that didn't happen. And the DHS timeline doesn't mention at all that Preddy was disarmed before he was shot, which is what we've seen in the videos, that his gun was taken away from him before he was shot. When you combine the video, what we've seen with our own eyes, with these new preliminary findings from DHS, it does not appear that Alex Preddy was presenting a mortal threat to the agents. And, law enforcement experts that we've spoken to say that unless an officer is presented with a deadly threat, they're not allowed to respond using deadly force. That appears to not be the case here. One thing we should note, though, is that this is just an initial finding from DHS, which is hardly an independent body in all of this. We know that state investigators, independent criminal investigators at the state level here, wanted to get into that crime scene, access it, work with federal agents, get access to their evidence. And so far, the federal government has not been cooperative in all of that. So I think it's worth noting, Brad, that, these are the findings from DHS, but we don't have any sort of independence, at least so far in this investigation.
Now the Department of Homeland Security has withdrawn Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino from the area, instead assigning Border Czar Tom Homan in an attempt to rein in the tensions.
The president has said that he wants to de-escalate the situation, and so it would appear that that is the mandate that Tom Homan has, not only to take command of the federal agents that are remaining in the city, but also to liaise with local leadership. So he's already met with Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis. He's already met with the Minnesota governor, Tim Walz. There is a clear mandate here to kind of calm things down, to not talk publicly. He didn't talk publicly yesterday, even though we thought he might have had a press conference. The idea of Tom Homan right now is to turn the temperature down. And yet a lot of people would say that it's the federal government's own doing that turned the temperature up in the first place.
How are protesters reacting, or even just residents of Minneapolis? How is this being treated?
I think that this city is very weary after weeks and weeks of this. I think they do not trust the federal government here. And I think they're just going to wait and see if the death of Alex Preddy really is an inflection point. So I went over to the memorial site. So it was the site of the shooting that's now been turned into this makeshift memorial where there's dozens of people there at any given time during the day. And I kind of posed that question to people from Minneapolis who were there. As tragic as his death is, do you think it might be an inflection point for the city here where things might change because of it?
God, I hope so. I feel like a lot of people have this strong fear that we're a test city. And I hope that the test, they realize it's a failure.
ABC's Matt Rivers reporting on the ongoing developments in Minneapolis surrounding ICE raids and 2 deadly shootings. Amid the investigation, growing calls for Kristi Noem to step down as DHS secretary. Republican Senators Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski are the first Republicans to call for her resignation, while President Trump continues to defend Noem and attacked those senators. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has more.
President Trump said Tuesday that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was doing a very good job and she wasn't going to step down. But two Republican senators, Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski, have now called for Noem to do just that. Murkowski saying she's lost confidence in Noem, and Tillis saying she's taking the administration, quote, into the ground on an issue it should own. President Trump attacked both senators, telling ABC they're, quote, losers and terrible. Asked to respond to that, Tillis said,
I am thrilled about that. That makes me qualified to be Homeland Security Secretary and Senior Advisor to the President.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
This afternoon, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said that she was on the ground in Minnesota, also announcing the arrest of 16 people charged with assaulting federal law enforcement. It's 1:30, midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. A massive omnibus bill addressing Utah's elections set to be discussed on Capitol Hill in just half an hour. We'll go in depth with what's in the 150-plus page bill and what it could mean for the future of U.S. elections. And KSL traffic. Nick Tito?
Traffic still rolling right along. No issues to report on any of our major valley freeways. Maria?
Still waiting for those snow showers here in downtown Salt Lake City, expected before the 4 o'clock hour. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. It's 1:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franz, and the FBI on the ground in Fulton County, Georgia, searching an election facility.
News helicopters captured aerial footage of FBI agents conducting the search of the Fulton County election hub. More than 5 years after Joe Biden won the state, an outcome validated by recounts and audits, President Trump has continued to argue there was fraud in Georgia. The fact that the FBI went in with a warrant indicates the search was approved by a federal court based on a showing of probable cause.
ABC Stephen Portnoy. Calls are growing for Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to step down following the Minneapolis killing of Alex Preddy Saturday by federal agents after shooting him, including two Republicans adding Noem should go, President Trump backing Noem, saying she's doing great. After 3 consecutive rate cuts in the past year, the Federal Reserve Board has hit the pause button on lowering rates for now. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the lagging job market and inflation remain factors. Stocks are up on the expected decision. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A new Ring doorbell partnership is raising concerns about surveillance and how federal agencies like ICE could use it. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera explains.
Ring's new partnership with a surveillance company called Flock could make it easier for law enforcement, including federal agencies, to access doorbell footage from homeowners. Flock is best known for license plate reader technology already used by police nationwide. Chad Marlowe, Senior Policy Counsel with the ACLU, says the concern is that two powerful surveillance companies are now linking their systems, often without consumers realizing what that connection means.
You go from what appears to be just individual surveillance companies into a giant mass surveillance apparatus for sale for anyone who has the money to buy it.
Marlowe says many people buy Ring cameras simply to see who's at their front door without realizing the product is designed to share data beyond their home. His advice, if you only want a camera for personal security, consider options that store video locally and aren't built to share information. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Other local stories KSL is following. A video showing the murder of Charlie Kirk may not be allowed in court. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
The defense attorneys for Tyler Robinson, the accused killer of Charlie Kirk, are saying showing the video of the moment Kirk was shot may result in an unfair trial for Robinson. KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says these kinds of requests are fairly common in murders, especially when the case goes to trial. He points out the video wouldn't show more evidence in the case.
Skorda says it is fairly common for judges to grant these requests. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow now down by 34 points, sitting at 48,970. S&P down by a couple points, and the NASDAQ it's up by 51 points. Traffic and weather together, it's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. Tito?
We have a minor trouble spot. It's downtown and happening on southbound State Street just past First South. Maintenance looks to have blocked off the outer right lane. Are you tired of dealing with missing teeth? Are you ready to ditch the dentures? The experts at Stubbs Dental can change your life with dental implants. Get started at stubbsdental.com today. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Okay, Tito, I have to ask you, are you seeing any showers in your cameras?
Doesn't look like it to me right now.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any downtown as well, but our forecast does call for a 30% chance of showers, and apparently there are some flurries in the area. Today's high 44 degrees up to 47 on Friday, 52 for the weekend. Right now 36 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Valentine's Day is a moment to pause and celebrate the love that fills your life. Duke's Jewelers in Springville believes every love story deserves something timeless, something chosen with intention and given from the heart. This Valentine's season, explore pieces that speak without a single word. Dazzling diamonds that catch the light, rich gold that feels classic and enduring, and colorful gemstones that tell a story all their own. Whether you're marking a first Valentine's together, honoring decades of devotion, or simply wanting to make someone feel cherished, Duke's Jewelers is here to help you find the perfect piece. Duke's Jewelers will guide you with care, offer thoughtful suggestions, and even wrap your gift beautifully so you can enjoy the moment, not stress over it. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Springville Main Street and discover a gift that will be treasured long after February 14th is passed. Because love is worth celebrating in the most meaningful way. Duke's Jewelers. Love elevated.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
On Capitol Hill this afternoon, lawmakers will discuss a massive omnibus bill that could have several implications on the future of elections here in Utah. Senate Bill 194 is being sponsored by State Senator Mike McKell and will be discussed in a committee meeting beginning in about a half an hour at 2 o'clock. With a bill this large, it'll be difficult to go through everything, but we're going to try to hit the biggest parts. And joining me now to help break it down is Deseret News reporter Brigham Tomko. Brigham, thanks for being with me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Okay, this is a pretty big bill. What is your biggest takeaway, though?
My biggest takeaway is this is an attempt from Senate leadership to make sure they have the influence they want over this elections bill reform in the legislative session. And they did something similar to this last session where a member of Senate leadership co-sponsored a bill titled HB 300 so that they could shape the final outcome. And this year we see SB 194 doing this in a more extreme fashion by incorporating 5 or 6 bills introduced by other senators or House members into one giant bill by a member of Senate leadership, Mike McKell. And we'll see where it ends up over the next 5 or 6 weeks.
Okay, what are some other specifics that we should know about?
So I'd say there are 3 big changes to Utah elections that are being considered in this bill. One is it would provide a process for county clerks to require documentary proof of U.S. citizenship from certain individuals when they register to vote, and then if they can't prove U.S. citizenship, to give them what is being called a bifurcated ballot, which means they would only be able to vote in federal elections because state election officials can't prevent people from voting in a federal election, even for purposes of not being able to confirm citizenship, but it would allow them to do it for state elections. So that's one. The other one is it would kind of flip the default for voter privacy in the state of Utah. We already have a pretty unique system here in the state where you can choose to make your name and voter registration private with no reason given. But if this bill were to pass at the beginning of next year, all of the voter records in the state of Utah would become public like they are in most states, unless you can give a specific reason to withhold that information, like you are a public official or are at risk of domestic violence or something like this. And third, and this is the final one I'll mention, is it would provide just more strict guidelines for the Utah Lieutenant Governor, who is our chief election official in the state overseeing elections, when he or she is overseeing their own race, or if they have an apparent conflict of interest. Then this would make sure that there's a process so that someone else can oversee that election, so that allegations can't be made that maybe they are meddling with their own election.
Okay, Brigham, let's go back for a second to the first one that you mentioned, that where you would have to show identification. Have they kind of worked out the problems where, say, a woman gets married and her name no longer matches what is on her ID?
Yeah, great question. There are specific provisions in the bill and the parallel bill running in the House that does the same thing, that would make sure that a woman with a name change wouldn't be affected by the bill. And what the bill is intended to do is that if someone cannot provide a long series of documents, which could include a driver's license, but could also include birth certificate, passport, other things, when they're registering to vote, then they will not receive a ballot for state elections.
So give us some idea why, what the thought is behind making all of these rolls public.
So the thought is, in response to complaints we've seen often from losing candidates over the last few election cycles, that there is no way for members of the public to go in and double check or verify that the voter rolls are accurate. And that's because, if I'm remembering correctly, around 30 or 40% of our voter rolls are under this private or withheld designation. And they can only be made available to legislators in their official function, or I think in some cases to political parties in terms of trying to reach out to registered members of the party. And so it's all in the name of transparency and election integrity, trying to increase confidence that our voter rolls are in fact accurate.
Yeah, and let's go back to the one about the lieutenant governor. I mean, lieutenant governors run for election all the time, and this has never been an issue before, has it? I mean, what's happening with that bill?
You're right. And in other states where they have a different setup, they have a Secretary of State. Those positions are often elected too, and those people will oversee their own elections. But we saw in 2024, particularly with the gubernatorial election, where Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson was also up for election, that there were lots of complaints that the governor and lieutenant governor had too much oversight over the process, or there were opportunities for them to maybe impact the verification of signatures or other things. And what the lieutenant governor did in that case in 2024 was she did designate someone to kind of respond to or mediate any complaints related to the lieutenant governor's election. So this bill, it's not saying that the lieutenant governor did anything wrong. It's just putting in state code what that process would be, so that the lieutenant governor doesn't have to, come up with their own process. It'd make it a more formal thing to kind of hand off some of that election oversight to someone else.
All right, Brigham, thanks for simplifying things for us. We appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
And that is Brigham Tomko, Deseret News reporter. You can read much more on his stories about what's happening on Capitol Hill at Deseret.com. Midday continues with more on this massive elections bill in just 60 seconds.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder, now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Welcome to guided meditation. Close your eyes. You're at the beach. The seagulls are calling. You take out your iPhone 16e you got from Cricket and use Apple Intelligence to clean up that selfie you just took. It's a good one. You send it to your friends instantly thanks to reliable nationwide 5G. They're totally jealous. Get iPhone 16e for $49.99 when you switch. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new line on the Supreme Unlimited plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
The massive elections bill addresses a slew of election-related topics, all wrapped up in one bill of more than 150 pages. Why so large? Why so many things addressed in one omnibus bill? The sponsor, Senator Mike McKell, spoke about this with inside sources this morning.
Sometimes when we have election bills, there's really not as much change in code, but we include those sections in these bills. I've got it in my hand. It is a big bill, but this is a continuation of last year. We spent some time. I worked with Representative Burt on House Bill 300, and there's some additional changes that we are going to make. But we do address a lot of issues in this bill.
Another part of the bill addresses elections when the lieutenant governor who oversees elections in the state is also running for office. Inside Sources co-host Holly Richardson pointed out that this has been a thing for decades now, and that the lieutenant governor usually has someone else step in to oversee things during the election years. In 2024, for example, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson had former Lieutenant Governor Greg Bell step in and lead the elections process since Henderson was running for re-election. So why now?
I don't question our lieutenant governor. I think she's done a great job, and I think she did a great job during the last election. This was an issue in the last election, and it was an issue when Governor Cox was the lieutenant governor. And in both scenarios, they both put a plan into place to resolve any perceived conflict of interest, and I think they did that. I think they did a great job. And I don't question our lieutenant governor. I actually think she's doing a great job, and she did put Greg Bell in place. But what we're doing in this bill is we're going to put that process in the code, so we have a clear guidance in the future. And you're exactly right. In the last two instances with both Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson and then Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox, they followed a very similar process. I think there's value in putting that in the code in case we have problems in the future, and that recognizes that we didn't in those two last instances, and I think they did it right last time. But I think we should have best practices, and I think we should have the process in the code.
Just a follow-up to that, would there be any indication that this would apply down at the county level? So a county clerk supervising an election where he or she is on the ballot, is there something that would impact that as well?
I'm looking at language to do that. I am concerned. I mean, for example, you mentioned the county clerk level. We've got a candidate in Utah County that's gathering signatures to challenge a sitting clerk, and I am concerned that the current clerk would be able to verify and validate the signatures for an opponent, and I think that is a conflict. And hopefully in Utah County that there's a process in place to resolve that conflict. But I'm looking at that as well.
Another part of the bill would make voter records public. What would be available to the public as part of this change?
We've got a concern, both Republicans and Democrats. It's hard to manage party affairs without clean and transparent voter rolls, and we want to make sure that those voter rolls are available to the public. I do still have some concerns, and I'm still working through language in my own mind. You may remember my private voter file. My private ballot was pulled out to look whether or not I put a stamp on or not. So obviously, I have concerns. I had some windows broken out at my law office while we were in session, and when that happened, I actually made my voter file private, and I think I had a legitimate reason to do that. So we're trying to balance those privacy concerns, those safety concerns, on top of the concern that parties do need to be able to function, and they do need to know who their members are. So we're going to continue to work through that issue, but it's a tough issue, and I understand the concerns on both sides.
Senator McKell says his bill would keep mail-in voting, but would add safeguards to ensure the signature verification process is robust and accurate. The bill would also address citizenship verifications. How can the state ensure that non-citizens aren't able to vote in elections? The senator says there's already a good process in place, but this would enhance it.
We verify when when somebody moves, updates their voter registration, applies for a driver's license. And I actually think that's a good question because the Lieutenant Governor's office had a chance to audit their process. And what they learned, and as you stated, is one person. Obviously, it's not done. They may find others, but those safeguards along the way have been working. Those protocols they've had in place have been working, and there are multiple steps. And I think they're doing a pretty good job. And I think that's evident by the audit numbers that we're seeing.
That is Senator Mike McKell there. After the break, we'll continue this conversation and get some response to parts of Senator McKell's bill that could affect Utah's newest third-party senator. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by UCCU Supercharger Savings at uccu.com. Tito?
Still dealing with some maintenance blocking off the right lane on northbound Bangerter Highway just past 3500 South in West Valley. This Valentine's, take your love to new heights at the Roof. Open for lunch and dinner. Enjoy city views, new decor, and viral favorites. Flatbread, scones, funeral potato bites, steak, pork, or salmon entrees. Visit theroofslc.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Amanda, I took my daughter with me to see Frozen at Hale Center Theater, and it was a magical experience. And I say that somewhat jokingly, but it was magical. I watched a woman transform a dress in a second right in front of my own eyes. I got snowed on indoors. Plus, there was all the songs that we both loved.
Yeah, when that ice castle comes out of the floor, I have goosebumps now just thinking about that moment. And the performers, the young girls who sing Elsa and Anna when they're little. I mean, the grown-up ones too, but all of them were just extraordinary.
The Anna that I saw just had this magical pixie-like charm that was so fun to watch. That just everything she said made me laugh.
Have you seen Frozen yet at Hale Center Theater? It runs till when, Andy?
It goes till Valentine's Day.
So you have time.
Yeah, if you didn't catch it during the holiday season, that's okay. It's an extended run. You have a chance to go now.
And if you went before, maybe you want to take your girlfriend or your nieces. Go back and have this magical experience of Frozen.
You can get tickets online, find out which day works best for you at hct.org.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
We're continuing our deep dive into a massive elections bill being heard on Utah's Capitol Hill. One major part of Senator McKell's bill would change the process for replacing a lawmaker who retires. KSL News Radio's Andy Cupp explains.
Okay, this might seem a little complicated, so stay with me. Currently, the party of the outgoing lawmaker chooses the replacement. That created a unique situation this last year when Senator Dan Thatcher, who had changed his party affiliation from Republican to the Forward Party, resigned. The proposed change would make it so that the party of the lawmaker, when elected, would get to choose the replacement. In the case with Senator Thatcher, it means that Republicans would have chosen his replacement even though he was not a Republican when he left office. That also means that sitting Senator Emily Buss would not have taken the seat for the Forward Party. Senator McKell told KSL that voters in the district originally intended on electing a Republican to office, and he says they need to respect the voters in that situation. Senator Buss responded to the comment saying the move discourages free thinking and acts as a scare tactic. She told KSL that she thinks this will be harmful in the long run.
Senator Buss won the special election to replace Senator Thatcher last year and will finish out his current term, which expires at the end of this year. The Forward Party, of which Senator Buss is a member, is a relatively new third party in the state. And as you might imagine, members of that party aren't huge fans of this proposal. Joining me now to provide some insights into why they're opposed is Phil Boileau, Communications Director for the Utah Forward Party. Phil, thanks for being with me.
Pleasure.
So describe for us why this is a problem for you.
Well, first of all, some of the components of this bill were not as adamantly opposed as you might think. Notably, the fact that we also don't think that the Forward Party should have been the one who selected Senator Buss. We would much prefer, as a party, that a midterm election that is open to the general electorate, like occur in 25 of our 50 states in this union, be the process by which a senator is replaced. However, I would like to add this as well. We did our best to model that type of open replacement process in the way that we selected Senator Buss. And in fact, more than 5 times as many people voted in our election than would typically be voted for if a Republican delegate-only closed-door vote would be the operating procedures there, including more than 650 Republican-affiliated voters who participated in that election. So we think we're standing on pretty solid data here.
So, Phil, what happens in your mind if Senator McKell's bill does pass the legislature?
Well, I don't think we're the only ones that are concerned with some of the components of this bill. There are other aspects of it that are concerning to anybody who's looking at the sort of closures of election reform constructs that we're seeing kind of across the board coming out of the legislature these days. So we hope it doesn't come to that. We hope that before the vote even moves to the floor, we can hopefully put an end to it in committee, which is about to start right now.
When we're looking at the other elections, Bill, are there some problems that you have with those as well?
I'm sorry, repeat the question?
Do you have problems with other parts of the elections bill as well?
Yes, I don't really necessarily have as much to say on those as they don't directly affect the Forward Party, but there are some clear issues about the privacy of voters and this clause that apparently would allow for electioneers to sort of make judgment calls based on whether or not people are U.S. citizens, which we think is sort of a straw man argument.
Okay, I know that you're going to go back into this committee. Do you hope to be a part of this conversation in committee?
We hope so. I would like to testify, and hopefully I can at least make a public comment here.
I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you.
Phil Boileau, Communications Director for the Utah Forward Party. Now, joining me in studio, Andy Cupp. Andy, you were reporting on what is happening with this bill for us, and does it look like it's going to go through?
It very well might, because it is such a small part of a big package. That's one of the interesting things when you do omnibus bills, is that you can throw so much into it. And as it goes through the hearings, I mean, they could scratch out certain parts of it. So this one individual part very well might not make it into the final version that makes it to the House floor, or the Senate floor and then to the House floor. But nobody really knows. It's kind of up to decide if they want to move forward with it as a big package as is, or if they want to try and whittle away at it. But I think this whole conversation is really interesting. We spoke with Emily Buss on Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News the first day of the session. She came and joined us there at the Capitol building. And we asked her, so what's it like being a third-party representative, a third-party senator? I mean, this is kind of different. And she said, everyone had been really nice so far. I mean, it was day one of the session. But she said they really don't know how to treat her or like how to act around her because she, as Jeff said, she's the unicorn in the room.
Yeah, she's kind of on her own.
She doesn't caucus with either of the parties. She said she would be open to caucusing with them, but doesn't want to, commit to either of them. That's kind of the whole point of the party anyway. But it brings up a really interesting perspective of our two-party system here in the state and in the country, and kind of how a third party breaks in. Nobody really knows what to do with it because it's just not how our government really was set up.
So how does she hope to make a difference then?
She hopes to do a lot of it on her own, which is a really difficult thing to do. I mean, the whole point of caucuses is to really get that block of power, so you can vote together with people. It's going to be interesting to see what she can get done, if she can get things done. I think she can, because there are certain things that everyone can get on board with. But we'll have to see.
All right. Thanks, Andy. The Omnibus Elections Bill, Senate Bill 194, will be discussed in a committee coming up at 2. And we're going to track the developments and bring you all of the latest with Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News and online at kslnewsradio.com.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The cost of fighting wildfires going up across the state. New numbers showing last year was especially expensive.
$192 million went toward fighting wildfires in Utah last year. Officials said today the state paid 31 of that, which is about $10 million more than they normally spend.
The time is 2 o'clock on Wednesday, January 28th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, wildfire costs. What's driving up these higher prices to fight fires? We'll get a live breakdown. Also, this hour,
you go from what appears to be just individual surveillance companies into a giant mass surveillance apparatus.
Privacy advocates are raising alarms over a new Ring partnership, warning it could expand surveillance tied to immigration enforcement. But first, our top stories. A Utah lawmaker wants to nearly triple Utah's minimum wage and require companies to be transparent about pay and job listings. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
State Senator Nate Bluen is running a bill that, if passed, would raise Utah's minimum wage from $7.25 to $20 an hour.
It's absolutely ridiculous that we see so many people continuing to struggle. And this is one piece of, I think, a bigger set of reforms that are needed to boost our quality of life.
Bluen's bill would also require the minimum wage to rise with inflation at least once a year, and it would require companies to clearly post the compensation offered in their job postings.
I think that is something that we should be requiring so that we don't have people basically in a race to the bottom, doing services for less than they should be.
Bluen tells me he's willing to work with and even make exceptions for smaller businesses that might struggle to pay employees so much more all at once. He also said he's willing to work with lawmakers on the other side of the aisle, but he doesn't have high hopes the bill will get enough support from Republicans to pass. A spokesperson for the House GOP majority told me they have no comment on Bluen's proposal. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News: at least 5 people killed in Ukraine after a Russian strike on a passenger train. Ukraine's President Zelensky now calling it an act of terrorism.
Russia has tried to justify the attack by saying that there were Ukrainian servicemen aboard, but Ukrainian officials say the only Ukrainian troops on board were on their way on leave, and that this was primarily civilians on board. They point out that a deliberate attack targeting a civilian train is a war crime.
ABC's Patrick Reevell reporting. Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close, the Dow ending the day up by about 12 points, sitting above the 49,000 mark at 49,015. S&P 500 down by just a fraction, and the NASDAQ was up by 40 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. Here's Tito Nani.
We have a minor trouble spot. It's in Salt Lake and happening on southbound State Street, just past First South. Maintenance appears to have the outer right lane blocked off up until around Second South. Put your energy into the fight song, not fighting for parking. You win when you take UTA to the game. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
30% chance of showers in the forecast for this afternoon. The high today, 44 degrees, 44 tomorrow, then up into the 50s for the weekend. And our next chance of rain after today doesn't come until Monday. 38 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
When Team USA is on, you can almost see the moment a kid starts believing they could be next. Now, while Xfinity can't guarantee that, they can guarantee something just as important, that your internet price won't change for 5 years. No contracts or commitments, so while your kid is ordering gear online, streaming highlight reels, or video chatting, your Xfinity internet price won't budge. And who knows, by the time the next Olympic Winter Games roll around, your kid could be getting fitted for their very own Team USA uniform. And guess what? You'll still be paying the same price for reliable Wi-Fi. And there's even more to enjoy with the Xfinity Gold Medal Celebration. Now through February 22nd, get their best price on gig Wi-Fi for 5 years guaranteed. Just $50 a month, plus get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. That's a $10.99 monthly value. Xfinity. Imagine that. Proud partner of Team USA. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Hundreds of millions of dollars being poured into Utah's effort to fight wildfires. The state's Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands laid it all out at an appropriations subcommittee hearing today, saying last year was particularly expensive. Joining me now live in the studio to break it down is KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson. And okay, what did we learn from today's meeting, Heather?
Okay, so we learned a lot of stats from this last year, so it's a lot of numbers. Stay with me here. The last year, the state fought more than 1,100 fires, and that burned about 165,000 acres. About 700 of those fires, or 60% of them, were human-caused. And those firefighting efforts cost a lot of money. Their preliminary calculations show about $192 million was spent on fire suppression, and a little more than 31 million of that came directly from the state of Utah. And that's significant because even though there were more fires last year, we spent there were less fires than like 2024, we spent significantly more on firefighting in 2025. From our previous reporting, we know that the state normally spends about 15 to 20 million a year, not 31. So it's a big difference.
So why was it so much more expensive? What happened?
It seems like this boils down to more wildfires in the wildland-urban interface, or what officials usually are referring to as the WUI. We're seeing more frequently that Utah has been building out further, putting more homes and buildings in the areas that are kind of in that intersection between cities and more wilderness areas. And those fires cost more to fight because, as State Forester Jamie Barnes explained in the committee hearing today, they now have a little bit more to protect.
As you know, we lost several structures in the WUI this year, over 50 structures. It's expensive to fight fire in the WUI. When there are high dollar values at risk, our fire managers utilize every resource available to fight that fire. It's important to us, it's dangerous, but it's costly.
Some of those fires in the WUI with big dollar amounts were the Forsyth Fire, $34 million, the Deer Creek Fire, $21 million, and this is the big one, the Monroe Canyon Fire alone was almost $100 million.
Whew, that's a lot of money. So how are they hoping to reduce that this year?
First off, they're starting to implement HB 48, which was passed last year. That looks to put a $20 to $100 fee on properties that are in the high wildfire risk areas, those situated in the WUI usually. And it also has officials evaluating properties and educating owners on how to create defensible space around their homes. Barnes says that's the best way homeowners can help this firefighting effort. And also, like I mentioned earlier, 60% of the fires last year were human caused, so they're still very dedicated to their Fire Sense campaign, which educates people on the ways that they can help prevent wildfires. And they believe that that's led to a decrease of 51% of human caused fires in the last 5 years. And while last year's numbers were still high, they still think that saved the state about $30 million in the last 5 years. So Barnes says they may have to look at revamping their message so people don't tune out and become complacent when it comes to being fire safe, especially as we've had some particularly dry years. And this year, of course, as we're seeing so far, just with a dry winter, it looks like that trend's going to continue.
Wet. Ring doorbells are on thousands of homes across Utah, but a new partnership is raising some serious privacy concerns. Civil liberties advocates warn the technology could make it easier for law enforcement, including ICE, to track people in their daily lives. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera takes a deeper look.
Ring's new partnership with a surveillance company called Flock is drawing criticism from privacy advocates who say it connects two powerful surveillance systems, often without homeowners realizing what that means. Flock is best known for its license plate reader technology, already used by police departments across the country. Ring, owned by Amazon, is the most widely used video doorbell system in the U.S. Civil liberties groups warn that when those systems are linked, they can create a far more detailed picture of a person's daily movements, from when they leave home to where they drive to when they return. Chad Marlowe, Senior Policy Counsel with the ACLU, says this partnership dramatically changes the scale of surveillance.
The ability of these companies to kind of watch over us individually, right? A Ring with what we're doing on our property and what you can view from your property, including public streets, what's going on in your neighborhoods, and Flock monitoring your cars, and then being willing to put this data together and sell it to anyone who will pay them for it, including governments. You go from what appears to be just individual surveillance companies into a giant mass surveillance apparatus for sale for anyone who has the money to buy it.
Marlowe says while people may think of doorbell cameras as simple home security tools, the data they collect doesn't always stay local and can be shared or sold to government agencies. That concern becomes even sharper, he says, when it comes to immigration enforcement.
The more that you can track where someone is, the more powerful a capability that is. And when it is in the wrong hands, when it's in malevolent hands, which I think in the case of ICE, I feel very comfortable saying a majority of Americans and a growing number of Americans view as a bad actor. Well, these companies are empowering them to do the terrible things that I think Americans are more and more finding objectionable.
Marlowe warns this kind of tracking isn't just about catching serious criminals. It can also affect law-abiding people in immigrant communities, changing how safe they feel moving through public spaces. He adds many homeowners buy Ring simply to see who's at their front door, without realizing the product is designed to share information beyond their home. His advice: if you only want a camera for personal security, there are other options that store video locally and don't share data beyond the household. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
The state of Utah taking in a record amount of unclaimed money in the past year. The fund has reached more than $178 million. That money all just sitting in state coffers. Utah Treasurer Marlo Oakes joined me to talk about where that money is coming from and how you can figure out if you have money owed to you.
So we've seen a tremendous increase in the amount of money that is sent into the state. And this is money that ends up at businesses that isn't their money. And after about 3 years of non-contact with the individual, it gets sent into the state. And we've seen through technology, the improvement in reporting and technology, that we've seen a tremendous increase in the amount of money that is being sent into the state, this lost money that's reported. And so we encourage people to go once a year to our website, mycash.utah.gov, and check for their name or businesses that they've had or have. Because it can come in under many different titles. It's often an individual, but certainly businesses also have money.
I understand that you have also put in place some things to make it easier for people to collect this money. What have you done this year to do that?
So we've increased the number of personnel that we have. We're making it easier to talk with a live person, and the process online is still very easy. If you see something that you think is yours on the website, you can click the claim button and see that there is information that you can send in. It is a .gov website, which means that it's the highest security out there, and so we want people to feel confident that the information that is requested is needed, and that they should feel comfortable providing that to us so that we can give that money back to them.
Yeah, describe for us what kind of documentation is usually needed to collect money.
Often it's proof of identity. That you are who you say you are. We've seen a tremendous increase in, the fraud and desire to claim other people's money, and so often it's just identification documents, making sure that this money is tied to the right individual, so that it gets sent back to the right person.
Okay, so usually identification, but what if someone has moved? Is the process more difficult for someone to prove that they lived somewhere in the past?
Yeah, so a lot of times we'll ask for information that could be very helpful in getting the claim to the right person. It's not necessarily required, and so I don't want to discourage people from submitting a claim if they don't have paperwork, say a utility bill that showed that they lived at a particular address. We really need, at a minimum, the identification.
Okay, so describe where people go to collect the cash.
So our website is mycash.utah.gov, mycash.utah.gov, and a signed claim form and any other documentation that they may have. We really want to get this money to the rightful owners, and we can use technology today to hopefully streamline that process.
Are you concerned that maybe somebody opens up the tab and they look at it and they think, oh, maybe this is too cumbersome and not worth my effort?
Yes, definitely. And again, I would just encourage people, if you think this is yours, fill out the claim form, provide as much information as you have. At a bare minimum, we need identification and that signed claim form, and any other information. Don't be discouraged. Just send it in if you think it is yours, and we'll process that and hopefully it is yours and we can get it to you.
Marlo Oakes is the treasurer for the state of Utah. Again, you can search for lost money and begin a claim at mycash.utah.gov. I just went there, and it's pretty easy to search your name, and I've got nothing coming back. Local Jewish community is coming together tonight to give gratitude as the body of the last Israeli hostage returns home. More on that after the break, but first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Tito?
We have a water main break in Murray affecting traffic. Avoid 4800 South and 3rd West Commerce Drive. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's not too late. If you got government health insurance again, especially here in Utah, this matters because a lot of families are paying more and getting less. Everyone focuses on the monthly premium, and yes, at my policy quote, I can help there. In fact, many of my Utah families are seeing 47% savings and even more on gold level plans. But the bigger issue shows up when you actually need care. The moment that university or blue insurance card hits the counter, prices jump, and with family deductibles now climbing to $20,000, all of that bill lands right back on you. My name is Mike. At my policy quote, I help individuals and families and businesses move into private insurance based on health, not income, so you're not overpaying for things you'll never use. That means lower costs, access to national PPO networks, and a plan chosen and managed by you, not the government. If you pay your own health insurance, you're on COBRA, uninsured, or your employer plan is just too much, even self-employed or small businesses, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com to get started now.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know that hiking isn't for you. Sure, it sounds nice to be in nature while exercising, but that's what a gym and houseplants are for. I mean, you don't even like walking upstairs. So why would you walk up a hill for miles? To what, end up high in the air? Come on, you know you're scared of heights. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
You were listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Utah doctors hope a bill before the legislature will make it clear that they won't be punished for refusing to take part in an execution at the prison. Physicians swear an oath to take care of people, do everything in their power to keep them alive. And obviously, executions are the opposite of that. Senator Jen Plum's bill would allow physicians to opt out of executions without feeling that their careers are at risk. She says doctors' concerns surfaced during last year's legislative session.
There were some conversations around physicians being able to say no, they won't provide a certain sort of care. And these are pretty complex conversations, as you might imagine, because, generally in medicine, we take care of the patient, period, regardless of any of the external considerations, regardless of, differences of opinion or religion or race or gender. We just take care of people. And there were some questions about whether or not Utah should have a bill that would allow people to have kind of a conscientious objection of sorts in providing certain types of care. And one of the pieces that came up that was most concerning to physicians was around the area of participating in an execution. And some of that, I think, was probably coming up because the state had recently had an execution of someone on death row. And there was this thought of, well, could a physician be penalized for not wanting to do that? Could they lose their license? Could they risk losing their job? And that was about the only area that I could find consensus amongst providers that they felt there should really be a carve-out for that. That most everything else, when we go into medicine, we say we are there to take care of the patient regardless of all the things. But the state-sponsored taking of a life felt like something that most people wanted the ability to say, no to and not be penalized for that. So this bill is really just that basic carve out. It says that a physician, it does not engage in unprofessional conduct, so that means you can't lose your license by refusing to participate in the execution of a death sentence. And it's a heavy topic all around, but I think it's the right policy piece. We do have similar carve-outs for abortion in the state, and it feels adjacent to that. So that's it in a nutshell.
Now, she's hopeful the bill will make it through committee and move to the House for consideration, but she tells KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi you just never know.
You know, most of the folks that I've had conversations with around this, I think really understand the spirit and also understand the kind of weight of the ask of asking a physician to potentially take a life like that. And so it feels to me like there's support for it, but one never knows till you get in and out of a committee.
Senator Plum, who is also a physician, says while it may seem to some that this shouldn't be an issue, it's still a concern for doctors.
And maybe there is such of course they would never be punished for that, you know, in people's minds that the assumption it would never be an issue. But when those conversations started coming up last session, you know, it left people pondering. And so we just want to make sure it's clarified in code and make it clear that we would not expect a physician to do that and have that at all be tied to their licensure.
Senator Jen Plum is sponsoring the physician practice amendments. We reached out to the Utah Department of Corrections for a comment on this bill, and they don't expect it to have a major impact on the way that executions are conducted in the state. Park City Jewish community is hosting an event tonight to mark the return of the last Israeli hostage, held in Gaza. The body of an Israeli police officer who was abducted on October 7th, 2023, returned to the state of Israel over the weekend. Rabbi Meir Jacobs with the Park City Jewish Collective joined me to explain the importance of such an event.
In Hebrew, it's called a Sudat Hodah, a meal of gratitude. And this is a very special event for our community where nobody was left behind.
Rabbi, do explain why it is important to mark this time.
So as a growing community in only our second year, something we prioritize is being there for each other, no matter what anyone is going through. And everybody's going through some difficulty in life. Life is painful. And as a community, it's very important to come together and cry together, mourn together, pray together. And we've gone on many hostage walks together. And if we can be there together in the painful and dark times, then we will certainly be there together to celebrate these joyous occasions.
Park City seems so far away from the Gaza Strip and things that have happened in Israel. Describe why this is personal.
Yeah, the Jewish community is connected all over. Even though we may seem really far away, no matter how small of a community, and I'm sure these celebrations are being held all over the world, we all feel very connected. And as a community, the Park City Jewish Collective has drawn a wide array of all different kinds of Jews and non-Jews to come together in unity over our shared background of Israel. No matter, this is not a political thing. This is not something where people argue. People come together and people can have different opinions and people can stand in different places, and that's okay. We all have human respect and dignity for each other, and we hope that everyone out there as well does the same.
Are there any members of your collective that actually have a more personal connection or know the people impacted in Israel?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I personally was in Israel with my family on October 7th. It was insane. There was a lot going on, obviously. And for a year post October 7th, we lived there. And I personally have seen firsthand a lot of the things that were going on in the front lines at the Army bases and on the street. And a lot of people say, based on the media, unfortunately, that, it must have been really scary. It must have been a crazy time. It must have been this. And how did you do it? And unfortunately, there was an all-out media war against Israel, but it was actually a beautiful time to be in Israel. There was such unity and love for everybody. What was going on in the front lines was nothing like what we've seen the media portray it as. And personally, I know many friends, family members that were on the front lines that gave up their lives for things like this.
Give us a final takeaway, what you hope people take away from tonight's event.
From tonight's event, I just want people to know that the Park City Jewish Collective is here for everybody, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter even whether you're Jewish or not. We have non-Jews come to our classes and our events all the time, and we welcome everybody with open arms, with no judgment, and we love for everybody to come together always, no matter what kind of ideas you have, where you stand. That's okay. Let's all have basic human respect and dignity together, and we should all live in peace. That's the main thing.
Is there anything that you maybe would like to add that maybe I failed to ask you?
Community is so important. Sometimes it gets overlooked. The 10 plagues that God brought upon the Egyptians for enslaving the Jewish people for a long time were obviously each in their own right something huge and difficult. But the most difficult from all the plagues was the 9th one, which was the darkness, because it wasn't just plain darkness where the Egyptians couldn't see. It was darkness where they couldn't move. And it's brought down in the Talmud, which is written almost 2,000 years ago, that the most painful plague of all was the plague of darkness. And that's because everybody was in solitary confinement, basically, alone. They couldn't move, they couldn't speak, they couldn't do anything. And being alone in the dark is the most painful thing. It's the most painful thing. And so we don't have to do that. We can all be together. We can all do this together. We can all be there for each other. And like I said, we've been together in the pain, in the dark, in the mournful times in the past couple of years. And now we're looking forward to moving forward with goodness and grace and peace.
Rabbi Meir Jacobs is with the Park City Jewish Collective. Tonight's Meal of Gratitude will begin at 7:30. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The state of Utah buying parts of a now bankrupt business in an effort to save the Great Salt Lake. On this 40th anniversary of the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster, we're taking a moment to look back at the past. And KSL traffic, Tito.
A steady drive on our major freeways, no slowdowns or delays to report. Maria?
It's 2:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Georgia, the FBI confirming a court-authorized activity at the Fulton County Election Hub and Operations Center. It comes as President Trump has repeatedly claimed without evidence there was voter fraud in the 2020 presidential election. Here's ABC's Olivia Rubin.
We do know that just last month we reported that the Department of Justice actually sued Fulton County for access to its 2020 records. Specifically, they were seeking things like ballot stubs and signature envelopes. They wrote in their lawsuit that they had sought this information from Fulton County, but that they had not complied with the request to hand over that 2020 ballot information.
As expected, the Federal Reserve Board voted to leave interest rates unchanged. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says inflation and the lagging labor market are factors. At least 50 deaths now blamed on the weekend's winter storm that crippled parts of the South, Midwest, and Northeast. In Mississippi, officials are sending 135 plows to clear ice and snow that created track of backups on interstates. This is ABC News.
KSL's top story. Privacy advocates are raising alarms over a new Ring partnership, warning it could expand surveillance tied to immigration enforcement. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera with that story.
Ring's new partnership with a surveillance company called Flock could make it easier for law enforcement, including federal agencies like ICE, to get doorbell footage from homeowners. Flock is best known for license plate reader technology already used by police nationwide. Privacy advocates warn linking those systems with doorbell cameras could expand how people are tracked from where they drive to when they arrive home. Chad Marlowe, Senior Policy Counsel with the ACLU, says that raises serious concerns when it comes to immigration enforcement.
When it's in malevolent hands, I think in the case of ICE, I feel very comfortable saying a majority of Americans and a growing number of Americans view as a bad actor. These companies are empowering them to do the terrible things that I think Americans are more and more finding objectionable.
Marlowe says many homeowners buy Ring simply for personal security without realizing how that data could be combined or used by government agencies. He says there are other cameras that store video locally and don't share data beyond the home. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Other local stories KSL is following. Video of Charlie Kirk's assassination may not be played at the accused shooter's future hearings. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
The defense says showing the video of the moment Kirk was shot and killed could result in an unfair trial for the suspected killer, Tyler Robinson. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas says these kinds of requests are fairly common.
And in this case, the defense is saying that the video is so graphic and so troublesome that it might prejudice the jury. It might make them too upset to hear the rest of the case. And frankly, I think the defense is arguing that it's not relevant.
Skordas says the video doesn't show anything that isn't already known, and the injuries would be explained by a medical examiner. He says these kind of requests from the defense are common for a judge to grant to preserve the jury. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day up by about 12 points, sitting at 49,015. S&P down by a fraction. The NASDAQ up by 40 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Tito?
A trouble-free drive on all of our major valley freeways. No issues to report. Visit the Boat Show and Water Sports Expo Thursday to Sunday, January 29th through February 1st at the Mountain America Expo. Buy tickets online at utahboatshow.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
We do have a 30% chance of showers across the Wasatch Front this afternoon. One of our listeners in Orem telling us they did see a few flakes. Hopefully more than that's going to happen this afternoon. We haven't seen anything here in downtown Salt Lake City. In fact, a bit of sunshine right now. We're headed for a high of 44 today. Right now, 39 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Kenny Michaels right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Kenny is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Kenny's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Over the past few decades, scientists and climatologists have partially attributed Utah's light, fluffy snow to the Great Salt Lake. The greatest snow on Earth, linked to the greatest salt lake in North America. But as the lake levels have fallen to drastically low levels, and as snow this year has more or less failed to fall, more and more people are looking to the problems associated with declining water levels. Now, in what's being called a rather rare move, the state of Utah is stepping in to buy one of the state's biggest polluters who has historically used a lot of water from the lake. Now, the state is spending $30 million to purchase assets of U.S. Magnesium, a company that sits on the shores of the Great Salt Lake. That action aimed at helping the lake return to more healthy levels. Executive Director of the Utah Department of Natural Resources, Joel Ferry, joined me to explain why the state got involved.
U.S. Magnesium went into bankruptcy back into September, and through that bankruptcy process, there's certain interests that the state has. This is a lot of the operation was occurring on state lands. They were using water out of the Great Salt Lake, so we stayed actively engaged and involved in that bankruptcy process. And when it became apparent to us, as we looked at some of the filings and some of the statements that were made, that there just wasn't really, in our opinion, a very viable plan forward to try to address some of the environmental concerns. This is a Superfund site, so it's heavily contaminated. It's got some real serious issues. They're also consuming enormous amounts of water coming from Great Salt Lake. It became apparent to us that it's in the state's best interest if we can do something to protect those interests and try to acquire some of those assets and correct, look at the future of that site, that the state should have an interest to try to acquire those. So we made a bid on those assets, and we ended up being selected as the winning bid. The judge decided that yesterday. And so we're acquiring a lot of those assets and a lot of that operational capacity for $30 million. And so we're, just looking at as the dust settles on this, what is everything that we're taking on and trying to make sure that we're doing what's in the best interest of the people of Utah.
So when you say assets, does that mean complete purchase of the company and the property, or kind of what's left behind?
So it's the company is bankrupt, so it's dissolved. It's defunct. And so what we're talking about is those. Really, what we're talking about is certain assets that we bid on are they're enumerated in the court order, but it's the water, the land, the mineral lease agreement, and there's some other assets, physical assets, property assets that exist there that we will, over the next little while after this settles, we'll determine how to best utilize those and what to do with those.
Okay. Talk for a minute about the water. You said that U.S. Magnesium was using an extreme amount of water. How do you hope that this is going to help the Great Salt Lake? I mean, what can be done here?
Well, so mineral production is really important, and magnesium in particular. And it's kind of unfortunate, just the markets, magnesium markets, like a lot of other critical and rare earth minerals, have been under a lot of stress. You have pressures from foreign countries, dumping in other, they just operate in a different way. And so they hadn't produced magnesium since 2021. So it's been 5 years. But there was a lot of water consumption. They were producing salts, road salts, and other things. And that takes a lot of water to do that. And so when we look at this, we say, okay, the water right is just over 144,000 acre feet that is included in this. That is almost the size of Deer Creek Reservoir. It's an enormous amount of water. And when you look at the Great Salt Lake, it needs water above and beyond anything else to restore, to save, to fill Great Salt Lake. We need water. And this is water that was already in the lake. And the company's use of that water it fluctuated from 50 to 120 plus thousand acre feet, depending on the year and what their demand curve looked like on what they were producing. And so what we're talking about is this water will now stay in the Great Salt Lake, and we're going to look for opportunities. We can still produce minerals, but do it in a much more efficient way. There's a lot of new technologies that this direct extraction type technologies that can do these things without having to just evaporate off tens of thousands of acre feet of water. And so this goes a long way in our goal of delivering and keeping water in Great Salt Lake to help restore it to healthy lake levels.
Okay, I'm not sure how close U.S. Magnesium is to the Great Salt Lake, but talk to me for a minute about how you're going to address the Superfund site and how that needs to be improved to really improve the health of the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah, so a couple of things. U.S. Magnesium, the site itself sits on the shores of Great Salt Lake. It's in Tooele County, just south of I-80 in a place called Raleigh. And it's a large site. It's there's about 4,500 acres of private land, but there's over 100,000 acres of leased state land that are the Great Salt Lake, the shores of Great Salt Lake. So it's right on the lake itself. And so what we're doing as far as this Superfund site, we're working diligently because a lot of the impacted area is state lands, and so there is already and there will continue to be an obligation from the state of Utah. But we're working closely with the Department of Environmental Quality and the EPA to come up with a plan on how do we start to address the cleanup of this site. We want to make sure that some of the higher actions. We address, we stop any sort of leaking into the lake, and ultimately get this to, reclaim that site to not have those long-term detrimental impacts to the lake and to the environment out there. This is again not just for the water volume to the lake, but the quality of water and to the the air quality in the air. I mean, it has an impact on all of those, and we're like I said, we're working closely with other state agencies and the federal government to address the cleanup and to really fix this problem that exists out there.
And then I have to ask you, how unusual is it for the state to step in this kind of case and actually step in and spend millions of dollars to purchase a bankrupt company?
Right. It is unusual. In this case, as we worked with the governor's office and with the legislature to address this situation, it became apparent that the state has a long-term vested interest in this, not just because it's located on the lake and a lot of it's on state lands, but also because, the people of Utah are really concerned about the Great Salt Lake and its impact to their lives. We've seen declining lake levels, and we've seen, really warming temperatures, and like this year, our snowpack is abysmal, and we need to be doing everything we can to try to help save Great Salt Lake, and this is a huge step in that direction. And so, yes, it is unusual, but at the same time, we've seen significant investment from the state in water conservation, in water acquisition for the lake. And this is another one of those really important steps that we felt we should take and can take to make a difference on the lake. And this is something, the leadership from the governor and from, folks in the executive branch, but also from the legislature has been extraordinary. And it is bearing fruit to help us as we recover Great Salt Lake.
Joel Ferry is the Executive Director of the Utah Department of Natural Resources. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. The big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
40 years ago today, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded shortly after launch, killing all 7 astronauts on board. It was also supposed to be the first time that a private citizen, a teacher, would be in space. Krista McAuliffe was chosen for that mission as part of a Teacher in Space program aimed at encouraging students to pursue careers in science and math. On this anniversary, 4 decades later, we want to take a step back into the archives. Here's reporting of that launch and the aftermath from ABC News on January 28, 1986, from ABC's Vic Ratner and Bob Walker.
And liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it is cleared the tower.
Pieces of ice tumble off as the coldest Space Shuttle launch ever gets underway. Challenger seems to shake herself free of the ice and goes. All 5 rocket engines burning well. The first teacher, Krista McAuliffe, on her way to space with 6 other astronauts on board.
We'll be hearing shortly from John Lawrence in Houston.
straight up into a beautiful blue sky. Crystal clear weather here in Florida, although it's very cold. Everything going well.
Velocity 2,257 feet per second. Altitude
1 minute in.
4.3 nautical miles. Downrange distance 3 nautical miles.
And across from me, hundreds of school kids jumping up and down and cheering as this space shuttle takes off with teacher Krista McAuliffe on board.
Go and throttle up.
And that means the engines are running well. 2.5 minutes into the flight, the solid rocket boosters will drop away, and we should be able to see it.
What's happened?
Feet per second. Altitude 9
What happened?
nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Still going. Vic, did something strange happen then?
Something is gone amiss.
Something is wrong. We have a problem.
Nothing from mission control, but I could see pieces of something falling off the side as if one of the solid rocket boosters had come away early, Bob.
It's still climbing. The shuttle is still climbing, but there is a problem. There appears to be a serious problem. What's happening?
Not a word from mission control. Everybody here is open mouthed.
Controllers here looking very carefully at the situation.
Where is the shuttle, Vic? Can you see it?
A major malfunction.
There is
Obviously,
a major problem.
Malfunction. Something has gone seriously
This could be
wrong.
a major tragedy.
We have no downlink.
A major tragedy in the making in this shuttle mission.
We have no downlink is the word from mission control. Something has gone gravely wrong, and the shuttle itself
It's disappeared,
has not
Vic.
been heard from. Disappeared in a cloud of smoke about a minute
Now
and a
I
half
see
into
a
the launching.
I see a very thin contrail, Vic, on the NASA monitors. This is indeed a tragedy. There appears to have been an explosion. Something is wrong. We see contrails dropping. Nothing from NASA.
And no comlink from the shuttle, and no word from the telemetry that tracks the shuttle's progress.
We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded.
We have
My
a
uh,
director
major
confirms
tragedy.
that. We are looking at checking with the recovery forces to see what can be done at this point.
My God, a major tragedy. The shuttle has exploded. The Challenger has exploded.
And that is ABC's Vic Ratner and Bob Walker reporting on this day 40 years ago when the Space Shuttle Challenger blasted off and exploded shortly after. And I can't help but get choked up. I was a very young reporter at that time watching that and watching those poor children who had just watched their teacher go up in space and then have that shuttle explode. It's something, you know, these space launches, we seem to take them for granted today, but everyone's eyes were glued to that launch. In the years that followed, we learned that O-ring seals were to blame for the explosion. Investigation showed the bitter cold that morning had weakened the O-rings, leading to a rupture just 73 seconds after liftoff. In 2021, NPR reported on the death of Alan McDonald, a whistleblower and engineer sent by Utah-based contractor Morton Thiokol to approve the launch, but he refused. He said he had reservations about the launch, as did other engineers at Morton Thiokol. Their biggest concern dealt with the cold and how that would affect booster rocket joints. He and several other Utah-based engineers refused to sign off on that project. And according to reporting from KSL.com, McDonald had been overruled by NASA and company management prior to that liftoff, which ended with that deadly explosion. McDonald retired in 2001 and went on to write a book detailing the issues that led to Challenger's explosion. A proposal from one Utah lawmaker would allow pregnant women to use accessible parking spaces. We asked you what you thought, and my goodness, you had thoughts. More on that coming up after the break. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU Supercharger Savings at uccu.com. Tito?
I-15 starting to pick up the pace a bit as we head into the 3 o'clock hour, although so far, so good. Whipple Service Champions is Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
When you're making resolutions for the new year, have you ever thought of making a resolution to get a new metabolism?
So that your body is burning fat more naturally? I used to have a terrible metabolism because I didn't know what to eat or when to eat it until I did Soda weight loss. I let go of 37 pounds, and now my metabolism works for me.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and it was so nice because once that metabolism changes, the things that affected you more regularly don't affect you anymore. And those are the things that I learned from my nutritionist as I was going along and even afterward. It's so helpful. They taught me how to be successful for life.
You can call and speak to a nutritionist at Soda Weight Loss today at 866-800-SODA, SOTA. That's 866-800-SODA.
Or you can go to sodaweightloss.com and see the hundreds of before and after pictures. And right now is the best time to do it, because if you join now, your partner joins for free, so you get 2 transformations for the price of 1.
It's 866-800-SODA.
Because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
Ready to win? Head to KSL.com/win for your chance to score big. This week, you could win tickets to see Ballet West's Peter Pan, a magical high-flying adventure for the whole family. From daring pirates to fairy dust and soaring dance, it's a classic story brought to life on stage, and you could be there. New contests are added all the time, so there's always another chance to win. Don't miss out. Visit KSL.com/win today and enter to win. That's KSL.com/win.
Big tax changes this year could mean a bigger refund, and Jackson Hewitt knows how to get you your biggest. You'll get $100 just to try us. That won't make you filthy rich, but definitely gas plus groceries rich. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back, which would make you low-key loaded. Or at least wealthy adjacent? Go with our trusted pros and get $100 to switch. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 3/22/26. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Should pregnant mothers be allowed to use accessible parking spaces? It's a question we asked you on Facebook this morning, and we got a lot of feedback. The question came as a result of a bill being proposed on Utah's Capitol Hill by State Representative Trevor Lee. In the bill, Representative Lee proposes giving expectant moms a temporary placard that would allow them to park in accessible parking spaces around the state. People in our own newsroom were torn on this idea, with a few moms saying that they would prefer parking for young families over parking for pregnant women. One person saying their doctor said the only exercise they could do while pregnant was walk, so they never would have chosen a parking space close to the building. They chose to park far away. But now that they have young kids, they would love to have a parking closer to the building. Another bringing up a concern about the amount of pregnant women in Utah, and that leading to even less parking for expectant mothers and people with disabilities. So what do you think? You can text us your thoughts as well at 57500. Executive producer Andy Cupp joining me. You had 300 comments on this Facebook post.
We did, and I figured this was going to be kind of a hot topic once
I thought it was going to be big, but I didn't think that controversial.
We got kind of riled around it in the newsroom. But no, in these comments, it was so interesting. They were not all on one side or the other. Sometimes when we've asked questions, they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to read a few of them because I think they bring up some really interesting points. So this woman, Kate, says, yes, a lot of women have restricted mobility towards the end of pregnancy. And as it stands, they can get a temporary disability parking with a doctor's note, just like anyone else can with an injury or a medical necessity.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Another person says, then you also need a bill mandating an increase in handicap spaces, those accessible parking spaces, which was a common problem I saw in a lot of these comments.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this person says. Chelsea says, as someone who has a disabled family member in a wheelchair, there are not enough parking spots as is. And I mean, we went back and forth in the newsroom of, well, yeah, would it be better for young families? Well,
there are a lot of young families, though.
Exactly.
That is
if you
a problem.
Start adding up all of these special parking spaces, I mean, you need a whole separate lot, and I don't know if there's space for that. Let's see here. Let me find a couple of these other comments. Sarah says, I think instead there should be a couple spots designated for pregnant women. That way there are still spots for those who need regular handicap accessible parking. That's another one that I've seen in a few places around the state, actually. As I've gone to some stores, they will have expectant mother parking.
I've not seen that. I have seen veteran parking.
I've seen that one too. Quite a few of those. Let's see. Caitlin says, I don't need it when I'm pregnant, but when I have 2 under 2-year-olds to carry into a store, that would be great. I mean, Maria,
Caitlin, that would be all of us, right?
Well, and I mean, what do you think as someone who has been pregnant before?
You know, I am one of those people that I park as far away as possible from the door just because I think that's probably the most exercise I get most days. I mean, just don't get enough exercise anyway. But I do understand that there are some women who would probably really benefit from this and probably really need it. But as that one woman mentioned, and I didn't really think about that, you could ask your doctor for a temporary placard.
Yeah.
We do have one of our listeners saying, this is Jan, agrees with all the people who are saying that there's not enough handicap parking. She has a placard, and there are many times that she cannot find space enough. So that is definitely an issue. There aren't enough handicap parking spaces as it is.
Yeah, and I mean, you add a lot more for those and for everyone else that you're including. You're what, at the end of the parking lot before you get to normal parking?
Okay, well,
it's
we'll
a good question.
See how this bill does in the legislature. Jeff Kaplan is here. Jeff, you're getting word that it's snowing in Bountiful?
There's a little bit of snow here and there, a few flakes coming down. We've been expecting snow showers more to follow.
Could be an issue.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.